Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 253. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined, as always, by my co-host, Montrell Rice. How are you this week, sir?
Highs and lows of this week. A lot of. Well, it wasn't really any highs. It was just a lot of lows this week.
Oh, shit. Okay. Work stuff or?
I wish it was work stuff. Well, yeah, work. I came back and it was busy as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we took the week off or whatever, so we came back and of course everybody thinks everything's on fire. Standard IT shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, my wife's fucking transmission went out. So
Oh, shit.
yeah, so we had to get that fixed, and we were deciding.
Oh,
I was at the place where I was just like, we just got her Cadillac converter fixed, and that was $2,000. So
bro.
I was at I was at the point where I was just like, we just need to replace this car because we replaced her transmission already 4 years ago. So
Yeah.
we already replaced it before. And transmissions are not supposed to go out in like 4 years. I mean, I don't know if people know that, but they're not.
That's
So
that's a pretty short time frame.
yeah, so well, I mean, I did research after this happened. I did research, and apparently, like the Nissan CVT transmissions are fucking terrible. They actually have lawsuits against them and everything like that. They're really
Yeah.
bad all the way up until 2021 versions of Nissan cars.
Wow.
So this is safe to say this is our last Nissan car we're ever going to get. But yeah, I mean, we got to get it replaced, or we're getting it replaced. I put the money aside and everything, so it wasn't a big deal. I always have rainy day funds for stuff like this, and instead of buying, I was going to use the rainy day fund for some other stuff, but I just used a little bit of it for this. So, and I won't be using it for other stuff. So, I mean, I still got a lot of rainy day funds left because I just save and I'm cheap. Obviously, you know me. So, this wasn't a big deal, but that's what it's used for, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, so it's funny that you bring this up because, dude, the same thing happened to Amanda's car
what? Are
last
you
week. Yeah,
serious?
man. No, yeah, same thing. So her car started fucking vibrating when she was going, you know, anything over like 25 or 30. The car was starting to vibrate a little bit,
Yeah.
and we thought it was something with the engine, maybe, or we were kind of hoping it was just something got caught in there. It was just like gyrating back and forth. That was not the case, though. Her front fucking her front wheels, like I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was a bunch of things wrong. But it's specifically the biggest thing. It was like $2,900 to get it repaired. So we had the
Oh my
same.
god.
We came up against the same conversation. Like, are we replacing the car? Like, are we doing this, or are we paying this right now? Like, the original bill they gave us was for $5,500, and I was just like, fuck no, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then I started looking through the itemized list, and I was like, okay, these other ones don't seem like they're required. And then we called the mechanic, and he was like, yeah, no, the only one you really need to do is the big, the big one that's 3,000. The rest of them, like, the car will probably be okay after that.
Yeah.
There are issues, you'll need to fix them eventually, but we're more talking about like, okay, well, I don't want to go buy you a car today, so like, let's get this
Exactly.
fixed. Let's get this fixed, and then we can now plan out in the next year to 2 years. We're gonna get you a new car. If we can keep the car running that long, that's kind of the situation we're in right now. So,
Same exact situation, but people's opposite switched. Like didn't want to buy the car. I was like, let's just buy you a fucking
well,
car.
I was there. I will say, like, it's kind of funny. Amanda originally, when this issue started cropping up, she was like, I need a new car. I want to get a new car now. And then we started talking about it, and the car she wants, it's expensive. She wants a Lexus, fucking, one of their hatchback SUVs. So, those aren't cheap. So I'm like, okay. So at first, I'm the one that was like, I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. Like, and then within a couple of days, though, once we got the bill for, like, we found out what the problem was, and we got the bill for for fixing it and everything like that, I flipped, and we both flipped. Like, she became the one that didn't want to get the new car and just wanted to fix her old one, and I'm like, are we going to get you a new car today? Like, so it's just, dude, it's fucking yeah, it's cars suck. I hate cars. I'll be honest. Like I think they are such a money sink, and the idea that our entire society is like built around them is really frustrating, actually, because
Man, I
we
don't know
could be
who I
so
was.
much more efficient as a society if we built our cities around public transit and actually
I
built
was
like a
just about to
real
say
rail
that.
system out. But
I don't
yeah,
know who I was talking to about it, but they scoffed at the idea. I'm like, if I had the choice, if there was like really good public transportation,
yeah,
I would take that shit in a heartbeat. I would get rid of my
absolutely.
fucking car. Like
Yeah.
like so
Yeah, if it
fast.
was possible, like we live in, we're in Texas, we're in the DFW area, right? So the
Yeah.
Metroplex, so using like trying to take the train or buses anywhere it's a fucking joke in the Metroplex. But that's my
Yep.
point is like we're in a place where we should be building out the rail infrastructure and we're not,
Hmm.
because it's almost more necessary the more space you have, where it's funny up in Boston, right? The railway system is really well developed. Same in like New York and a lot of other cities in the country. And I lived in Boston. Dude, I didn't have a car until I moved to Texas. I did not feel it was necessary. I was able to get around wherever I needed to go in the city, using the train, taking buses, that kind of thing. And moving to Texas, that was a complete non-starter here in Texas. This is literally
Yeah.
impossible. It's actually the thing I like. It's actually the thing that I dislike the most about this state is that element to it. I understand how much space there is, but I feel like the politicians here willfully have decided that they do not want to invest in public transit.
Oh
The
yeah.
amount of
100%.
the amount of blockage that's happened with this high speed rail between I think Austin and Dallas, or is it Houston and Dallas? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
they try to do it. They try to do the triangle. It
Um,
was Houston, Dallas, and Austin.
yeah, the amount of blockage that has received is just completely insane to me. Like they
Well,
want us to
the
continue living in this situation.
yeah, the problem. I mean, of course, it's not a political podcast or a geographic podcast. But the problem is, um, particularly with Texas, I noticed they don't have these issues in other states. A lot of the land out here, it's a lot of land, but all of it is privately owned. Like,
Yes.
there's only like 10% of the land that the government owns. Like, no
Yeah.
fucking joke.
Yeah.
Um, so they have to talk to like all the landowners and stuff like that to kind of congregate and come together and like all the other shit like that. But my thing is like a lot of people don't understand you'll be making money hand over fist if you get this shit done. Because I will still keep
Yeah.
my car, but I'll keep it if I'm like going out into the country or something like that to shoot or hunt or whatever. But that's pretty much it.
Or you might
I
have
know
one
the
car instead of two, right?
Yeah, and I know Deanna would get rid of her car in a fucking heartbeat. Like, and then on top of that, we keep building all these fucking expressways and shit, bro. Did you know how
Oh
much
my
traffic would
god.
be alleviated if we just did public transportation? Like, the
Yeah.
state will get all that money back, and that's what I don't
Right.
understand. Like, it's just to me, it's insane. So I don't know.
Well, it's to prop up fucking the car industry, dude. Like it's a
Yeah,
lobbyist. It feels like a lobbyist thing to me.
yeah,
But
yeah.
their Congress people have their little buddies in the car industry, and they got to make sure that they're still making their money because yeah, cars are fucking insane right now, dude. It's crazy how much
Oh yeah,
money a car
that's
costs.
why I flipped too. I was just like, we were trying to get a new used car, and it was just like, I'm like, the interest rates. Even my credit's really good, and I'm just like, what?
What do
I
they
mean, we didn't
give?
go
What are
to
they giving you, 6% or something?
yeah, like 6%,
Wow, that's
maybe 5.
crazy.
I found a couple of them where like the quote was 5% or whatever the case may be, and I'm like, all right, I can do 5% or whatever. And but my credit is like over 700 or over. It's like over 750. So it's
Mm,
like
Uh, yeah.
I'm like, bro, like I should be getting some good deals or whatever. And it's just like, it's not even. It, I don't know. It's just insane.
I would scoff at that, dude. My car payment from the one this has been paid off for a couple of years now, but my Fusion, my interest rate on that car was 2.25%
that's
financed.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I imagine like even somebody like me now would probably be paying 450 or something like that. Like,
Now
yeah,
the new
or
cars,
4.5. Yeah.
yeah, the new cars, I was getting like 3, 2 to 3, 4 maybe.
Okay. Okay. Well then Then maybe it's a used
It's
car
the
thing,
it's
but
just the used car thing. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I
Okay.
researched that it was a new. I don't want to buy a new car though. I just wanted to buy a used car. I mean, I don't like SUVs, so like a lot of the cars now are SUVs,
They
and if I want
are.
to get a car, I have to go use
They're
the use
fucking
route.
huge, dude. Like
They are,
why do
man.
these cars have to be so big? I don't understand, you know? That's the thing I don't like. I don't really get about it, dude. The fucking pickup trucks, dude, like
Oh
are
my god, bro.
out of like. Have you gone to the fair in the last couple of years and like gone to the car show there? Like, because
Yeah.
it's dude, those things, those pickup trucks are unbelievably massive. They're like tanks.
Who's
Like
The thing
it's
is, I would understand it if you lived out in the country. I would
yeah
totally get it, right?
yeah
But there are people who are driving these huge pickup trucks and they go to this like their apartments are like, the little fucking upscale apartments in the middle of
yeah
downtown. I'm like, bro,
yeah.
why do you need this big ass truck in the middle of
Oh
fucking
my god.
downtown, bro?
I don't know. So yeah. So it's pretty bad right now. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't yeah, and I'm not looking and both of our cars are paid off. That's kind of the other thing. And
Yeah, same.
we're not looking to get a car payment at the moment.
Yeah, same. Both of
Honestly.
our cars are paid off and we
So
are she
yeah.
was like, "I'm just not looking forward to another car payment," and I'm like, "You know what? You're right." Because that's the reason I haven't pulled the trigger on getting a new car is because I'm just like, I want to save up so much money where I can buy a new car, just like cash, like
Hmm.
here, like I
Yeah.
don't, get rid of this car or whatever. But I
Yeah.
don't know. It's one of those things where
Yes. Yeah, and we're gonna save up and we're probably gonna do that. For a couple of years and just pay cash because I don't want a car payment. Like I don't know. We're actually thinking about going to a financial advisor soon to kind of ask about this. Like, what's the smartest thing to do? Is it just buying the car outright, or is it like put half down? You know,
hmm
take the loan and then pay it all off immediately. Like, there's little tricks you can do with this kind of thing, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you'll get a better deal if you take the loan. You know, dealerships will do that kind of thing. So do you take the loan? Like you put like 2,000 down and you take the loan and then you get the better deal and then you just immediately pay it all off. Is that a better option? You know,
that's
it's like
that's that's what. So
so
what's funny is like my boss, she actually had kind of the same issue happen over in the wintertime in December. And I guess her husband had an old car, and he really needed to get rid of it. So, yeah, they were telling him. Long story short, they were telling him like banks were banks weren't even willing to work with him for more money he put down. He was like, "I will put down this amount of money,"
yeah.
and then even the dealership was like, "Don't put that much down because the bank won't work with you." And I'm like, "That's insane! Are you
Yeah.
serious?"
Well, they want to make the
It's
interest, right? Like they
yeah,
don't. The bank doesn't care. They hate the idea that you're going to pay more, put more down because they're making less money in interest.
yeah,
So you
yep,
almost have to trick them. You like go in there and you say, okay, I'm going to put 5,000 down on a $50,000 car, and then you do the loan, and you may get a better deal that way from the dealer too, because the dealer is incentivized to do financing, right? They don't really want you to
yeah,
pay cash either. Generally, depending on the dealership, a lot of dealerships are like that though. So to them, like, so that might be our plan is to do it like that, but yeah, ideally I would like to just pay it cash and be done with it. But man, spending that much money in one go is fucking terrifying. It's like
yeah.
no other way to say it, dude. It's like, uh,
Yeah, and
yeah,
if you're like out of state, or no, I'm sorry, yeah, if you're not in the states listening to this, like, yeah, that this is what pretty much what America is. You have to buy a car unless you live in like Los Angeles. Hell, even if you live in Los Angeles, to be honest with you, unless you live in New York or
yeah.
some
LA
of
is
the
too
eastern
sprawly.
seaboards,
Yeah.
yeah, you live in
Um,
some of the eastern seaboard states, you should be okay. Like New York
Boston,
and
you can do
Boston,
it. New York, you can do it.
DC, you
Definitely.
can do it.
You can do it in DC. I don't know about Miami. Probably not in Miami.
Probably not Miami. No, I don't think any of
Um,
the southern states. The Midwest is a no go. It's
Even Chicago.
Chicago is one of the few Midwest states. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Detroit, no
Chicago is
go,
one.
no go there.
No go. No, you need car there.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
If you
Yeah,
live in the city, yes, but if you live in the metroplex, no. Like you need a
yeah. I mean,
car.
it's the same in Boston, right? I mean, well, I mean, actually, I say that I lived in a suburb and I was fine without a car. So I think you can actually survive in Massachusetts, probably like in the Boston area without one. But I think the further out you get, obviously, the harder that becomes. New York is probably the epitome though of public transit. Like it's huge, but their public transit system is crazy. Um, compared to a lot of other places. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Fucking you know, this is
Working
this isn't
life.
car talk, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, so well, it's good. We're all having fun with our cars. Then that's it's funny that it happened to both of us and within the
I
the
look at it
same
this way,
week. It's
just
crazy.
I look at it like this, Justin. Get the bad shit
Yeah.
out the way first, right
Hmm.
now, so later in the
Yeah.
year the good shit can come. So let's just get it
Absolutely.
all out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I'm totally with you. So, all right. Well, you know, we are getting to some good shit today. So this is, well, let me get through the rigmarole real quick. This is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01 at gmail.com, and we will answer those questions on the show. All right. So, couple things to get out of the way first. So we did an Attack on Titan retrospective. We actually fucking recorded it. You may have already listened to it. It is live. It's on the feed. It is Reflections number 8. So that was like 3.5 hours we went on that or so. So if you're interested in that, obviously spoiler filled, extremely spoiler filled. Do not listen to it if you've not finished the series yet. But otherwise, enjoy that. So that is out there. And then this episode, this is going to be our game of the year, games of the year for 2023. So, ground rules. I want to remind everybody we do this every year. This is how we've always done it, and we will probably continue to do this. But we do not do a ranked list like 10 through 1 or anything like that. We are not going to necessarily talk about our games in the order that we believe they're better. Like the last game we talk about isn't going to be the game of the year. You know, that's just not how we do this. We just talk about games we enjoyed this year that we played, whether it came out this year or not. There is no specific ranking or anything like that. I'm actually going to be bringing up some games that I didn't necessarily enjoy either. Too. I think Montrell's the same way. This is more of a reflection on the year and how we feel about it overall. So yeah, given that, Montreal, do we want to just jump right into our lists here?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so I'm gonna start with my honorable mentions. First one I have is Star Ocean Second Story R. This didn't really make the primary list for me. I like this game, but ultimately it wasn't as robust, I guess, as I was hoping for in the crafting realm. It started out robust, and as you progress through the game, it just becomes almost irrelevant at a certain point, or at least it feels that way, where you get your party to a certain point of power and you really just don't need to do anything with this anymore. It's enough to beat the game. So, and the story was not as deep as I was hoping for. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
sings this game's praises, and it just didn't quite get where I wanted it to. I guess it was really straightforward ultimately, in a lot of ways. Um, so yeah, but I did enjoy the game though. It's a good game. I would definitely recommend it overall. It's probably a good place to start with Star Ocean. I think if you're going to jump into the series, it'll get you kind of acclimated to what a Star Ocean game is for sure. And it's probably got the simplest combat, you know, out of any of the games that you could play. So, second game I want to mention is Armored Core 6. So this one, Montreal, you have this on your list too. And I want to kind of get a feel for where you are with this, because I think both of us dropped this game, right? Like we didn't finish it.
No, I'm about to finish it though. I'm like one mission away. I have been
Okay, so
playing
you
it.
went back to it. You actually
Yeah.
went back to it. Okay. So where are you at with it? Like, how do you feel about it?
Um, it's weird because I'm not. I like the game a lot. I think this is the changes it needed. Uh, I can understand why people would drop it. The game is very stressful, and I think that's the main reason I dropped it. I wasn't in the headspace right now to play Armored Core 6. Um, but I am in the headspace now to play it. I want like an actiony type game or whatever the case may be. But it's definitely not one of these games where you can sit down and it has escapism, but it has escapism in the opposite way that you want, like for Western relaxation. And I'm like, whoa, I'm sure you play fucking League. And it's like, yeah, I play League, but like I play League. I don't know what it is about League and like maybe Apex and shit, where it's like those are multiplayer games and you do have to think and everything, but it's like each game is different. And it's always evolving, and I don't know, it's just something about those games, right? With like single player games, or in this case, it is multiplayer now, because they have rank play and everything. Um, Armored Core still has a degree of like I have to try because you do have to try in the games. And for me, sometimes I just don't feel like trying. I was just not in the headspace to try. So I understand why some people would drop the game, because even though it's a great game, it's not like I'm terrible at the game or anything of that nature. That was my personal reason for dropping the game initially. Um, and now I want to come back to it. But I was also upset too, when they did the nerfs to some of the bosses after I beat them, and I just didn't like that
Yeah.
shit. That really turned me off the game,
That's
to be
what
honest
turned
with
me
you.
off, dude. When I beat the spider, I think with the end of chapter 2 boss, and I beat it in 2 tries, and I was like, I went online and I'm like I knew they had nerfed it, but I was like, I started looking at it and I was like, man, they nerfed it this much. Cause like going from Balteus, I think was the first boss, going from
Yeah,
that to Spider, dude, it was just like I really had to like challenge myself and think and like examine my tactics and just the way I was fighting the boss and what parts I was using to beat
yeah,
Balteus and Spider. I just rolled up with what like my just general assembly that I use for most missions, and I beat it in 2 tries. Like it wasn't, I don't know, like it just maybe it was that specific boss, but that turned me off. Like after that, I was just kind of like, oh man, I was like, I don't want this to be like this. I want
it's
that Balteus feeling. Like that was like I
yeah,
felt really accomplished after beating that.
yeah, especially after I kind of hyped the spider up to you because I beat it before the nerfs,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
remember I went to dinner, and then we came back, and I beat it when I came back from dinner that one time, with my wife or whatever, and uh, yeah, I don't know, man. After like I see. I don't want to sound like a gatekeeper, bro. Because I'm so glad everybody. No, like I'm so glad people are playing this game. You have no idea how glad. I'm glad
Yeah.
people are playing this game. I'm glad it's sold
Mhm.
a lot, or so decently rather. I'm so glad. But what I did not like, bro. I did not like the nerfing of certain things.
The catering
Um,
to a larger audience, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and they done this before. They did it with Elden Ring too.
They didn't stick to it. They didn't stick to their guns, dude. Like Sekiro. I mean, maybe they did, but that game was so
No,
hard.
I don't think they
Like
nerfed anybody with sec. I think it was like one boss who was broken and they fixed it, but that was it. Maybe I'm
yeah,
wrong. I can go back and look at the patch notes, but um, I think they did some tweaking here and there for like maybe certain enemies that were like bullshit in Sekiro, because we all it was some enemies that were bullshit in Sekiro. Um, but uh, yeah, man, Armored Core, bro. I don't know, man. And then the nerfing of the shotguns. Uh,
oh yeah, they
I
took the hammer
mean,
to those.
to be fair, they were broken, like on both
Yeah,
sides of the aisle, right? But I don't know. I just used the workaround around them. If I did fight somebody with those shotguns, I just worked around them. I just used distance weapons or whatever the case may be, against them. So, excuse me. I don't know. And it was kind of wild too. It is kind of easier, maybe because I got better with the game. But it is a
yeah,
lot easier. So I can definitely see why people dropped it because of that. But that when they nerfed Beltay, like because I used to like going back to him before the nerfs after I beat him and just fighting
yeah.
him with like different builds
It's
to
a
see
good
what I can
fight.
do.
It was a good fight.
Yeah,
It was, I mean, it probably still is. Like, it's probably still not that easy, but I think the thing with Spider that because I went and looked, right? Like, what did they nerf on Spider? And it was his damage resistance to basically all weapon types,
okay,
meaning that you kill him faster. And that is the reason I beat him in 2 attempts, because the second attempt, like, I was low. I was out of healing, like repair kits, and I remember I think I was on my last health bar, and I might have been at 75% when I killed him. But if the fight had dragged on for another minute or maybe minute and a half, I would have probably died, you know.
yeah,
So it's like that difference is large, just because they didn't actually nerf his damage at all, really, from what I saw, but that wasn't necessarily like that didn't seem to be a big problem to me in my fight with him. It was just the longevity of the fight. It was shorter. It ended up being a shorter fight. So I just think that I don't know. That's like that decision. It sucks. It's like it changes the frame, like the nature of the game, and I think that's ultimately why I didn't end up going back to it, because then you have like the nerfs they focus on were on bosses and then parts, right? But there are still certain missions that are fucking ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
Like I think the last one, the one that I stopped on was the one with the where you go through the fuck, I forget what it is. You're going into the wall. That's right. You're going into the wall, and you have to go through like three different sections of it. You start outside, you go inside. There's like a corridor, and then there's a couple rooms. And then when you get to the
Yeah.
final room, they throw a shielded mech like armor core at you, and you have to fight them 1v1. But there's also ads fighting you at the same time, and
Yep.
that thing was fucking brutal, dude. Like I needed to make a specific mech build to beat that thing, to be able, and that mission doesn't have a supply, like a resupply, so you have to get through the whole mission with
Yes.
one
Yep. I
one
know
set of
exactly
ammunition
what
and
you're talking
everything.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have things like that, but then you are gonna nerf the bosses. Like I don't really understand the logic there. Like to me, like the bosses should be the hardest challenges in the game, like, and I think that's like that was what frustrated me ultimately with it. I ended up moving on to something else.
Yeah. I mean, it was the same thing with me. I don't know. After I just seen people complaining about it and everything like that, I don't know, man. It just really, this was the first game where like I did let the community get to me. I was just like, I don't know, man. Like y'all really turned me off this game. Like, 'cause I thought the game was fantastic the way it was. Like, yeah, it was some bullshit here or there, but there was always a build to get around something. And now it's just like, I don't know. Maybe the community's moving back towards multiplayer, and that's okay, I guess. But I don't know. It is what it is.
Did they ever nerf the miniguns, by the way?
Yes, they did nerf the
Because that
miniguns.
was the
Actually, I
most
think they
that was the broken bullshit with the miniguns, and I refuse to use them.
the miniguns were, I think the miniguns were nerfed, but the shotguns were definitely nerfed. Those are like
Okay.
broken as fuck. Like you can overheat or break through a shield of an armor core with like two shots in that shotgun. If you had both of them, it was literally one shot. So if you just did one shot from both your shotguns on both arms,
Yeah.
that armor core was like his shields are completely broken.
Yeah. And given what kind of weapon they are, they're really really easy to hit with because it's short range.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Hard to dodge. So yeah. Last game I have in my honorable mention is Hogwarts Legacy. So I wanted to go back to this game. I haven't actually done it yet, but I've reflected on this game a lot actually over the course of the year,
Mhm.
and I kind of came away thinking that I might have been a little too hard on this when I initially played it. I think I put expectations on it and was disappointed that my expectations weren't met a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit here and say this game's a 10. It's not. It's definitely like an 8. But um, it's a good game though. It's definitely a good game. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
take that away from it, and I think that's why I'm putting it here. Is that it is fun to play. I do enjoy it. There are some things about it that I really like. I love the way they handled the spell book, like having a myriad of spells at your disposal. I think they did a really good job with that. The actual world building, like I said, the castle, I mentioned this, like the castle and Hogsmeade are fucking phenomenally built like environments. I loved running around in those places. And those are aspects to the game that I think really shine. The class stuff notwithstanding, like that you're not, it's not more persona like where you're kind of like choosing activities to do and stuff like that. That's probably was an expectation that was never going to be met. But the other thing is the story. That's like the one thing that I'm going to stick on though. I think the story in this game is just like really silly. They make you like this basically a god, and you're using magic that no one else has access to. It's like crazy shit like that. And I still don't like that element to the game, but um, I don't know. They decided to go that route. I don't think it was the right choice personally. I think they wanted to give players a power fantasy within the Harry Potter universe, and I
Yeah.
think they should have dialed that back a little bit and started a little bit more humble. where you're actually coming in as a first year rather than jumping straight into being a fifth year and you have access to all these cool spells and shit. It's like they should have probably, like, to me, they should have made the game smaller in scope and really started you at a smaller point, where you have less spells that you have access to. And, having access to the unforgivable curses is cool and all, but like it's just ridiculous that A, you even get access to them, and B, the fact that you're just running around the countryside fucking crucioing and Avada Kedavering fucking every random bandit you run into, and you're just murdering hordes of dudes, and nobody gives a shit. It's like, that's crazy, dude. Like that's the thing. Like Harry Potter, like, dude, there's shit in Harry Potter. Like if you cast certain spells, they know like you cast it, and they know where you are. It's like, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, obviously this takes place like earlier in the timeline, so maybe some of that stuff's not there, but um, you know, so there's still issues with the game, but overall, I do still think it's a really solid game.
Yeah,
Overall,
I,
so
I feel the same way. Well, I give it like a 6 or 7.
yeah,
Um, Outside of you, I really do not see. I really want to see what other people see in the game. Um, and I understand, like, first of all, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan. I don't hate the franchise, but I'm not like, oh my god, I gotta play a Harry Potter game. I always
yeah,
wanted a fucking Harry Potter video game. I only watched the movies, y'all. Sue me. I read one book,
yeah.
which was The Sorcerer's Stone, until my grandma came in and was like, no more Harry Potter books. But I watched all the movies with Deanna, because she's a Harry Potter fan.
Hmm.
Um, so I know of the lore and everything of that nature, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more lore in the books that are not explained in the movies. Um,
Yeah,
that being said, I personally did not like the fact that there weren't builds. There are builds, but like you can almost max everything out
yeah,
in the game. I was looking for more of a Mass Effect type of experience where it kind of like you have to go with a certain build type deal. Um, or you can do a little bit of everything, but you wouldn't be
mm,
as powerful.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know, for this game, like you said, it was a really huge power fantasy deal. Like, and I understood why they went that route. But my thing is, I didn't understand why, like you said, like I'm a fifth year, I think, in the game, right?
yeah.
So I don't know the difference in the first year. I mean, I
Well,
know
you're
the
also a
difference.
fifth year who's never done magic before the game starts, by the way.
Okay, and so yeah, it was a lot of stuff taking me out the game,
Yeah.
like taking me out of the universe, because I was just like, I think that's my main problem with it. I think the combat is really good, actually. I
It
put too much
is.
expectations on the combat, and the combat is actually really good. I think that the spells are really cool and flashy. I think what you can do with them, and their expression of what their envision of what Harry Potter is in the video game. I think they did a
Mm,
really good fucking job with it. I
mhm.
love the castle. I love Hogwarts rather. I love Hogmeade as well. I actually love the entire environment. I love all the little shit that I think, like when I see the wide shots of Harry Potter in the movie, like I see that when I'm walking around the field, and I actually love that shit.
Yeah.
And I actually like that if I do go back and watch a Harry Potter movie, I can be like, "Hey, I was right there, and I did this little mission or whatever the case may be." So I like that shit. Um, a major problem I had with it was the story. It took me out, bro. Like it's like, wow, the story can knock it down all the way to a 6 or 7. Yeah, because it's already like an 8 or 9 for me, or 7 or 8 for me. And yeah, the story and the concepts around it really
Mm.
took me out, because I don't like. I understand a lot of people like it, but I just don't like being the hero of all heroes, and I'm the best wizard, or
You're the
you're the
child of
only.
prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
the only one that can do this. And it's like, I don't like that all the time in my games. Like it's a
Right.
time and a place for it. All right. But like, yeah, it didn't make any sense. It would have made more sense too if it was like we started our classes and stuff like that, and then like there's a time skip, and then now I'm like a fully adult wizard, and I can do all this bullshit, and I can choose to be, these type of wizards or that type of wizard, or the case may be. Because yeah, like you said,
Mm.
I'm out there crescendoing people and putting them in the fucking shadow realm and fucking killing people and like
blasting them into into fucking space, dude. Like it's
yeah,
crazy.
and like no one's like, yeah, this kid here is going crazy on the
You're doing
countryside in
this, by the
Farmville.
way, like hundreds of feet from this castle at times. Like it's like not even that far away. You're like you're probably in view of somebody looking out a window.
Yeah,
Like it's I don't know. It's
yeah,
so,
it really takes me out. But I think everything else is like phenomenal in the game, so I could understand why people love the game. I guess talking it out now. Um, but that was just my personal beef with the
well,
game. That's why it's a negative for me this
yeah.
year.
I think something you said resonated with me, and it's kind of I think epitomizes my feelings on the game, and the reason why I was disappointed with it earlier in the year is that I think that WB here made a Spider-Man Ghost of Tsushima Assassin's
Yes,
Creed style game, and I wanted more of like a Mass Effect Witcher 3 style game,
yes,
you
yeah.
know,
That's
where it
yep.
was more focused on the lore and the narrative rather than just having a fun world to run around in. And I think there's a reason why people love Shepard and Geralt so much, right? Those characters are not characters of prophecy. They prove themselves through the actions you make in the game.
Yeah,
And
yep,
that's why they're such good characters to play as. There's like when you walk up, nobody knows who the fuck you are, dude. Like at the beginning of like The Witcher or Mass Effect, like nobody knows who Shepard is. And then over the course of the 3 games, you build that character out, and you become a legend by the end of it. But it's because of the shit you did in the games. You don't just show up and like, oh, you're the one that was whispered about. It's like, no, that shit's so dumb, dude. It's just an excuse to make a character powerful. I think it's a really bad storytelling trope that's unfortunately overused. And I think that's the other issue I have with the game is they made this big open world in the game that's really lame. Like the open world outside of the castle and Hogsmeade is super shallow. It's really shallow. The activities are boring. There's really not much to do, even with all those activities. There's just a lot of empty open space. They give you the broom and let you fly around really early in the game, which just kind of does away with the whole idea of exploring too. You're just running from point to point basically on the map, and that's like you're getting into bad open world design to me, and that's my point ultimately. Is I just think they wasted so much time building an open world that isn't even fun to play in. I would have rather they had used that time to better flesh out the lore and make better quests and make more quests and stuff like that and more detailed quests and kind of flesh out the lore of the castle and the teachers and that whole dynamic that was going on. The game just doesn't explore that very much. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That it is what it is. I think the series is ultimately just it's gonna be on that line, right? Like it's an Assassin's Creed game in a Harry Potter world. That's
yeah,
okay, but
yeah. I guess I don't know.
yeah,
I really wanted to be an RPG, well, an action RPG.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, people like it. Obviously, it's selling tons of copies, so our opinions don't matter in this in this aspect.
Definitely. I don't know if it's still the best selling game of the year, but we'll find out soon on that one. So the last honorable mention I had is not a game, but it is game related. Is the Super Mario Brothers movie? This movie was, I think, a lot better than most of us thought it was going to be. When we heard that Chris Pratt was going to be Mario, I think a lot of people, obviously scoffed at that, us included. There was definitely some criticism from us there too.
Hmm.
But I think the movie overall was fun. Like I enjoyed it a lot. I'm actually kind of excited to see what they do with the next one. How deep into the Mario lore do they go? Because they can get weird if they want. So I don't know. Did you actually saw the movie, right?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you never actually saw it. Okay.
No, no.
Gotcha. Well, it's definitely worth a watch. It's a fun film. So, all right, Montreal. That's all I had for honorable mentions. Are there any honorable mentions you had? I mean, you kind of have everything just in a list here. Like, or do you want to specifically start with anything in your list?
Yeah, I get my some of my negatives and out of the way because it's we already got one of them out of the way.
Yeah.
So I have a negative positive, so I guess this is like I'm waning on this one, which is Wulong. Love the combat in this game. Love the bosses in this game. I don't think I'm a fan of the power system. So they
Yeah.
did it something a little bit different with like how you build characters and stuff like this. I think I prefer Neo's way. I I prefer the way, and they do it in this one too. I don't know what it is about Wulong. I just prefer, maybe it's the setting. I don't fucking know. I really just prefer Neo and Neo 2 setting over Wulong.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like I don't like the powers that you get in Wulong because like in Neo you can almost make a pseudo kind of magic build. In Wulong you can do that. But just the way the power system is scaled and everything, it's just weird. The game is just weird. Um, it's like a positive negative for me. Um, I will come back and beat it eventually. But I got really close to beating it and I just kind of dropped it.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. It just didn't ruffle my itch like it did for like for Neo 2. And I want you to play it to see if I'm crazy. And
Yeah.
maybe I just want Neo. Maybe that's what it is. I just want Neo 2 or 3.
Dude, I'm afraid of that with Team Ninja, dude. I think they hit such a high with Neo 2 that I I'm starting to wonder, like, did they peak and like everything else afterwards is just not, it's not going to hit that again. I'm actually a little worried about that with the Rise of the Ronin. Because yeah, I don't know. Like Neo 2, I hold Neo and Neo 2 in such high regard. Like that's a really high bar for them to hit, man. Because I think the thing with I mean I haven't played Wo Long, so I don't know the specifics of the mechanics or anything like that, or leveling, whatever leveling system is there. It's just Neo 2 is so robust, like there's so many, dude, there's a skill tree for every weapon, and there's like 14 weapons. Like it's fucking nuts. And then there's a magic skill tree as well. And when I say skill tree, they're huge. Like they all take an entire screen. Like they're not like it's like a normal RPG where you have a skill tree multiplied by 15. It's like the game is insane, in that regard. So I don't know. Like that just might be what happened here. You might have got a game that's just not as robust as Neo 2, and it's just
You
like
know what?
that's you're
I
missing that,
can't say
you
that.
know.
I can't say that. I think it is robust as Neo 2, maybe even a little bit
Okay.
better.
Okay.
Um, I think maybe I'm just not a fan of the setting. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I really want to be in the Japanese setting again. I really want to be,
Mm. Hmm.
I don't like
Well, this is
the China.
Chinese, right?
This is Chinese era.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe I'm not really into that right now or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the armor sets don't look right to me. I don't really like the Chinese armor sets that they have and everything of that nature. Um, I don't know. It just looks. I don't know. And the armor or the power system and everything like that and leveling is way different, or it's kind of different from Neo as well.
Yeah.
Which I like actually. I mean, I like that it's not just Neo. I like how you can dodge and parry at the same time. They kind of incorporated that as well. Um,
Mm.
so there's a lot of cool things in the game that I think is way different from its Neo counterpart. But I wouldn't say it's like a Neo 3. I would say it's like a Neo offshoot or whatever. What I
Yeah.
think is actually Neo 3, in my honest opinion, is Stranger in Paradise. That's what I think Neo 3 is. Um
I don't think so. The
uh
game's too basic, man.
I
It's
yeah,
I don't know.
you're right. You're right. But I actually enjoy Stranger in Paradise more than I enjoy Wulong.
Yeah.
Um and I have no idea why. So I I don't know, man. It's one of those games where it just didn't click with me. I had to try it again and I had to come back and try it again. So this is not a dish at Wulong. I still think it's a solid 8, to be honest with you. It didn't resonate with me personally. But if someone came up to me and was like, Wulong is way better than Neo, I wouldn't fight him on it at all. So
Yeah.
that's just where I'm at. I'm not gonna take a solid stance on I'm gonna bitch out. I'm not gonna take a solid stance on if it's bad or good. I'm in the middle with it. Um
Okay. Fair enough.
uh, and so Ghostwire Tokyo, I like this game, but the reason why I went negative into it because it just took so fucking long to get into.
Mm.
It's just such a weird game. I do not recommend playing this game after you playing like an action game because it's not an action game. It's an action game, but it's not an action game. It's slower paced, and I like it for that, but I don't like it for that. Um, you can do a lot of crazy shit in the game. Uh, you're like a spell. You're like a Japanese, like the Japanese version of a wizard. Like casting spells and doing that
Yeah.
shit and everything like that. And it's really fucking cool. Like all the hand symbols you see, your character doing and everything of that nature. And the game's really cool. I think it's very different. And I actually know I won't give this a negative. I give it a positive. I think it's very different. I just have to be in the right headspace to play it.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think people should definitely give Ghostwire Tokyo a shot. You just got to come into it not thinking it's Doom or something of that nature. It's his own game, and I think that's okay. Uh, it's not like what's that one game that just came out? Not Avowed, but Alvarinium. It's not I think I said that right. Alvarinium.
Immortals of Avium.
Yeah, Immortals of Avium. It's not
Yeah.
that. It's like a lighter version of that. It's more story focused, and the story is
Okay.
actually really decent in my opinion. Uh, yeah, I like the direction they took with it and everything of that nature. I think it's really cool. Diablo 4. Not going to spend too much time on this. I think the game fucking sucks. Sorry, y'all.
Worst
It
game we're
sucks.
gonna talk about today. Like no
Yeah,
joke. I'm not even
like
kidding.
yeah, the worst game in on this list. Is hands down Diablo 4. Never spent $70 on a game and dropped it within 2 days. I literally dropped this game within 2 days. It's so fucking bad. I do not like this game.
He did.
If
He's not
any
kidding. I honestly.
like if this podcast gets big and someone listens to this episode and they want to make a fucking essay on why I hate this game, go for it. I'm going to challenge you every time. The game fucking sucks. Like it's
No.
not a
Yeah.
fun game at
Yeah.
all. Like, and it's not me being a purist, like, oh, you just like fucking Diablo 2 a lot. No, I wasn't one of those fucking. I love Diablo
No.
2. I love Diablo 1.
I don't
I
even like
actually
Diablo
like
2.
Diablo. I actually like Diablo 3. I liked
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody hated that game. And I liked it. I fucking like Diablo 3. Sorry, guys. Diablo 4 didn't scratch the itch. You know why? Because it's fucking World of Warcraft Diablo. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, let's just call it that, okay?
Yeah.
I didn't want to play an open world Diablo game. I played an open world Diablo game. Oh, it's creepy though, guys. It's creepy. No, it's not. The dungeons look the same. Every dungeon looks the same. I don't feel endangered when I play this game. Like when I played Diablo 1 and 2, I felt endangered. And it was getting teetery with Diablo 2. Diablo 3, I didn't feel in danger, but I was having hella fun with the game. It was just fun. I could go into heaven, I'm going to hell, and it was just stupid. And I'm like, whatever. Diablo 4, I don't even know what it wants to be. Sanctuary is just, it's creepy, but I don't fucking care. I love Lilith. At the end of the day, I don't fucking care. I just don't fucking care.
It's just drab, you know? Like the game is just drab, you know? And it's like the world is brown. Like and
yes, that's a good
you know, I don't know why they chose that color as their aesthetic, but it is what it is, you know?
It's oh my god, it's just not fun. Like
yeah.
And like it's flashy and it's like, you know what I wanted? And this is my fault. I think I put my expectation on Diablo 4, but they said this. But I wanted Grim Dawn with Diablo. That's what I fucking wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
Diablo 1 with like Diablo 3 mechanics or whatever. That's what I wanted. I just wanted.
But they fucked the items up, dude. The itemization is so bad that it just ruins the whole package, you know? Like there's just so many dumb stats in the game, like, you know, how many fucking when you swing your sword on Tuesday at 5 p.m., you do 3% more damage. You know, it's like, I don't, okay. Like,
and the drop rates, they don't make any sense. And it's just like, some people will get like legendary stuff. Some people got like shield shooting daggers at like, from a random drop. And I'm just like, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't see how people got addicted to the game. Like,
no, they lost it. They you know what? They've recovered actually since the game came out. Like as far as I know, they're actually doing okay right now. Like the seasons since, especially I think season 2 in particular, like really got people back into the game. And they've made some positive changes, but I just don't care. Like I literally couldn't. There was a period a couple months ago where I was thinking of jumping back in the game, and then I was just like, no, why am I going to do this? I don't. fuck, like they what they did isn't for me. I just like it's just not. I'm
Yeah,
gonna play Path of Exile 2, and I'm gonna play Grim Dawn. Like that's what I'm gonna do. Like those are the ARPGs that are for me. I just need to accept that, you know.
yeah, and I agree with that. I think this game ultimately is not for me. I would have loved. What I wanted was a game that I can play single player, but would have co-op people drop in and out every once in a while. Like that's what I wanted. But if I wanted to play the entire game single player, I can fucking do that shit. And I feel like I can't do that with Diablo because there are always other fucking people running around. And like Montrell, why are you mad with other people running around? Because it literally alleviates the danger of Diablo. Like I don't think other
Right.
people
Yeah.
understand that. Like
Dude, that's a huge component of the game is that you're always alone, you know? And I think Diablo 3 obviously got away from this a lot. You have your companion
yeah,
all the time. And like Diablo 2 had a companion as well. But Diablo 3, Diablo 1 didn't have any of that. Like that's why the atmosphere in that game is so specific, you know, and it works so well. Is because you're literally always alone, you know, in the whole game, and you're descending down this church, and it's horrifying, you know, the further down you go, and then eventually you get to hell, and it's like, dude, there's just some sections of that game that's like you're in a really dark, there's no light, the only light is coming from you, and you have no idea where anything is, you know, and you hear
exactly.
skeletons walking around and monsters walking around and demons and shit, and it's like that feeling is just very distinct in Diablo 1, and I just don't think like none of the Diablo games since have really recaptured that to me. But 4 was trying to tout itself like it was going to, and
Yeah,
it just didn't. It
it
just
didn't.
didn't. It just didn't. And then the story just does the same shit that Diablo always does. Like they don't advance things in any like satisfying way. You know, it's like killing like I'm sorry, I'm spoiling the game if you care, but
I don't
um
care.
Lilith dying at the end is like it's just stupid, dude. It's just like I thought they were gonna go in a different direction at a certain point in the story, and they just didn't. You just fight her at the end, and she dies, and that's it. You know, it's like okay, cool.
What's
I don't.
crazy is because her and what's his face? Who's the other guy that created Sanctuary with her? Uh,
No, not Tyrael. Oh my god, I'm forgetting the angel's name. Wow,
yeah, I am too.
I forget his
Um,
name.
what sucks?
No,
What sucks
keep
is
going.
they went away to get away from like the wars that was
Right,
happening, and like now she's dead.
Inarius.
Yeah, Anarius. There you go. They went
Yeah.
away and they created Sanctuary because they were like, we don't want to fuck with the angels or we don't want to fuck with heaven and hell. They're doing their own thing. And it's like, I like that aspect of it. And I thought Lilith was going to take it in a different direction when you fight her. And I don't know, man. It's just, I was disappointed because they told me, oh, we're going back to the roots. And it's like, you're not. You just made WoW with Diablo.
Yeah,
You
she's
made,
just a different form of Diablo too. She's just trying to take over the world in her own way, and it's like really fucking irritating, you know, because they wrap it up as her like trying to free humans and everything like that, but then she's literally like corrupting them, making them murder themselves, murder each other. Like it's just shit like that. And yeah, she's a demon. That's what demons do, obviously, you know, or whatever. But it's like I would have liked it more if she really was actually like a savior for Sanctuary, where she was really actually trying to save Sanctuary, you know, and she
yeah,
wasn't just some fucked up villain that viewed humans as like expendable tools, you know. It's like I don't know, like I just don't like that they went the direct like they just turned her into another form of Diablo or a Baal or Mephisto. Like we fought those villains before, you know.
yeah,
And I'm like, and we're just fighting another one of those at this point. It was silly to
yeah.
me. So
I don't know, man. I played the game and I instantly dropped it, and I just like, I don't want to play Destiny anymore. That's exactly what I felt like I was playing
yeah,
Destiny. I didn't log in, do my fucking dailies,
absolutely.
and then log out,
Oh yeah.
and I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
want to.
You gotta go run around and do your little dailies and then go talk to the tree and the tree will give you loot. You know, it's like fuck, dude. No, I don't want to play this as an MMO. Like, I think that is a huge component of why I think the game was unappealing to me when I got to Endgame. I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I just like, I want to play the game and I want to go fight bosses and get loot. You know, like that's what I want to do, and I want to make my character better and like see how much better I can make my character. Like that's what I want to do in an ARPG. I don't need dailies. I don't need a reputation system. I don't need any of this fucking bullshit. Like, just give me a game where I go fight bosses and they drop items. Like, and that's it. and it looks good and it has great animations and the item balance is good and like the class design is really cool. Like, that's all you need. That's all you need. You know? It's like, yeah, you need some complexity in there for sure. And I think the game has enough of that personally, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they didn't balance it well. Like, they didn't balance it correctly. Like I said, the itemization is horrific. It's some of the worst shit I've ever seen in an ARPG. It's actually worse than Diablo 3, and that is saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Like, that's because Diablo 3 was the worst before this game came out. So I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. It is
I
what it
don't.
is.
You know what? I don't want to stick it on anymore. Like,
Yeah, I
but
agree. Let's move on. Yeah.
yeah. So, I did not like Diablo 4, guys. I apologize. It's another game I want to say I
Oof.
didn't like it. Was
Yeah, you
Jedi
didn't like it.
Survivor.
You didn't like it.
So, I got the game, and I'm trying to be nice to the game because one of my friends worked on it, but I can't. And he loves the game too, which is weird because I don't think he would like the game if he didn't work on it. But
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't like the direction they took the game. I think the story is actually okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. I like the direction they took the story, uh, or whatever. I just the
Mm.
combat, man. It was just the combat for me. Like I don't think it evolved enough from like out Jedi Fallen Order. I in me it felt like Fallen Order 1.5 in my opinion, but everybody
Mm.
else says the combat drastically improved and everything. And I don't know. I just wanted them to go a little bit more balls to the wall, like make it more a little bit more zany, and I didn't get that with this game. And I don't think I'm ever going to get that with this game. Um, and that's my fault for putting those expectations on this game, I guess, and that's why I
Mm.
didn't like it. And if you didn't go into it with those expectations, you probably will like the game a lot more. But I just assume like, wow, I think they're going to go crazy next game. Like I think they're just gonna they got the funding for it, and it
Mm.
was just safe again. Like the blaster, uh the claymore combat, the blaster saber combat, it just wasn't like my cup of tea, man. I was just like, hey,
Mm. Mm.
you know, it is what it is. Like, and you know what it is too. I come to realize this as I would like talk shit on Twitter and everything. I think I am just done with Soulsborne type games. I don't want to
Yeah.
touch another one. Like everyone keeps telling me to play Lies of P. I just really don't want to play another one. Like I thought
The
about
genre's
fire.
overplayed, dude. It's
Yeah,
overplayed.
yeah, I thought about firing up Sekiro, and it's like, damn, you even ruined Sekiro for me. Like, I don't want to play this genre anymore. I just
Yeah.
don't care about it anymore. And for this game to be a pseudo version of that, it's like, yeah, I don't feel like playing you anymore, man. Like, I'm sorry,
It's like a
y'all.
shallow version of it though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I think I'm just
You
done with
know,
that style of game, man.
it's the same problem that Hogwarts Legacy has, right? It's like it's literally like another type of game, but it's like a shallow version of it. Like it's like they're trying to casualize it, and it's like, okay. I mean, I guess. I mean, like that shit works. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say it doesn't. Like these games are selling. Like Hogwarts Legacy sold. This game sold. So we're certainly in a minority, I think, with this opinion. But um, I don't. We're not the audience, Montrell. Like I don't think we're the audience for these games necessarily. Like they're not necessarily trying to get us.
Well, I was just in and maybe I'm too harsh on video game. That's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's not a reflections episode, but I was in a group chat, and my friend who actually worked in the game, he's in a group
Yeah.
chat with us and everything, and he has a lot of downtime right now, so he's playing a lot of video games, and he's putting his reviews inside the chat or whatever. He'll put in like
Mm.
long ass text messages or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll
Yeah.
read them. And there was one he did for Horizon Forbidden West. Now I haven't played Forbidden West, but I did play Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm.
But even from you said like the combat everything was drastically better. It was just way too fucking big. That's why I remember you
Yeah.
being on
Yeah.
Forbidden West.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was the same way. And I was just reading his things. He's like, wow. I'm like, wow, he's like really enjoying these games. He's like looking at the positive on these games. Am I just negative? Am I just a negative
Yes,
Nancy
you
person?
definitely are. You definitely are. We both are. I mean, that's kind of how we tend as people. But I will defend us. We have to exist, okay? Like there's a place for us in the conversation, you know. And I will say we're not always negative, dude. Like there's a bunch of games. We're about to get to them. Like there's a ton of games I'm about to fucking praise to shit right now. So don't I don't know. Like, I think it's just we have really high standards, man. Like, we've been around here for a long time playing games, and I think we just expect more from an industry that's at the age that it's at. You know, I mean, we're talking about 50, close to 50 years, like 45 years.
But games have come a long way. They
They
have.
have, I know, but there's just certain things. There's things like Hogwarts Legacy, and then the Jedi games, Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, where you're given an IP with such I don't know, wide appeal, I guess, that has a really cool setting and really cool lore and really cool characters and all that. And you just don't do a whole lot with it. You kind of just make the most generic thing you can to fit within that framework, you know? And that's
You know,
kind of what Hogwarts
I think
Legacy
that's what
did.
I
Yeah.
think that's what it is with Jedi Survivor. I think
You feel like it's generic like that. I will give them a more credit. I mean, I didn't play Survivor, but Fallen Order I felt pretty good about. I like that game.
no, I liked it too. I liked it too. And I like what they're doing with I like the ideas and concepts they're doing with Jedi Fallen Survivor as well. Like I like that a lot. They're opening up a whole new branch of like,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's a
Um
little more open, right? There's like a
yeah,
hub.
it's a little more open. Even the story, like I said, like the story, it's not revolving around the Skywalkers or like anything like that. It's like
Okay.
its own story and everything of that nature. Um, I love it for that aspect of it. I love that we're exploring a different part of the galaxies and all this other stuff. We're getting I love like I love the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor for introducing us to the Night Sisters or mentioning them or incorporating them into the main story and everything.
Yeah.
Like we're getting a lot of lore about a lot of other races that we never got within the
Mm.
movies or anything of that nature. So I
Hmm.
love that for them. I think my thing is like, yeah, I just really wanted the game to be a little bit more crazier. Like I don't understand what's holding people back from just
Well,
going crazy,
what
and
specifically could they have done though? I guess like
I think the combat could a little bit more crazier. I think
more jumping around, like less like planted on the ground and more Jedi crazy
yeah,
Jedi shit. Yeah.
yeah, like just yeah. I'm not expecting like a Devil May Cry Star Wars edition, but like I don't know. I know this company is capable of doing crazy shit. Like when I see the animations in like Titanfall and Apex and even this game, right? Like they have the capabilities of doing some really crazy shit, and like they can do it. They really want to do it, and it's just like they keep falling for this like they keep falling for like the standard. They keep going the PlayStation third party, the PlayStation
Yeah.
route. And when
Yeah.
I mean PlayStation, like I mean like they keep trying to like emulate this the story and the emotion of God of War. Like I don't know how to explain it without explaining it. It sounds so fucking dumb. And it's not like I want like an Eastern developer type game. I just want a Western company to like try something crazy and wacky, try something
Mm.
different, show that we can do this. Don't always have the same serious ass narrative like with the games. And it's just like they do that. And I don't know. And then the combat, like I said, the combat was like, even if they did do the serious narrative with the game, it was the combat that was just like meh to me. And it's like God of War, in an instance, right? Like I enjoyed that game, even if the story was like Yeah, like weird and wacky, or like weird, or it wasn't even wacky. It
Mhm.
was just like we expected this to happen, or whatever the case may be. It didn't live
Mhm.
up. Ragnarok didn't live up to our expectations of Ragnarok, and we knew that was probably a hardware limitation of the game,
Mhm.
or what they were trying to do with it, right? But the combat was just fun. Like it was just fun. I had
Mhm.
so much fun playing God of War. Like so much fun. The combat is just, and you can play it like like the standard shit, but then you go on like different videos and you see people doing crazy shit with the combat. You're like, oh, I didn't even think to do that. Oh, I didn't think to do that. And it's like with Jedi Fallen Order, I'm not doing that. I'm just doing Dark Souls shit. I'm playing Sekiro Light. And it's like, I don't want to do that. We have the Force. Why am I? Yeah, I can push people off. But I've been doing that for the last 16 years of Star Wars games. I've been doing the Force push. I've been doing the Force pull. I've been throwing the lightsaber back at people. I've been doing these things. You introduce nothing new to the table. Introduce
Mm.
something new, bro. Introduce something new.
So you
And they
want
didn't.
something more like Force Unleashed?
Yes, and even and I think that's the problem. I think the problem is the Force Unleashed set a bar so high for me, as far as not even the combat's that good in Force Unleashed. To be honest with you, it's
Mhm.
just the crazy shit that they did in the Force Unleashed, and they're like, "We're about to show you the true potential of the Force." No game has lived
I
up to that,
see. Yeah.
and
So
and
you
I
I get what you mean with the PlayStation comparison. So you're talking more about the fact that PlayStation games tend to kind of tell stories almost more humble in nature, and you want
yeah,
them to go a little bit more bombastic.
yeah, they're too safe, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like they did it to God of War, right? And I don't get me wrong, y'all. I love the new direction of God of War. But remember old God of War? Bro, we tore the head off somebody and used it as a fucking flashlight. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
And it
man. No,
still had a
I know.
narrative purpose.
You're right. You're right. Dude,
We
he
had the
literally
opportunity to we
oh
had
my
the
god,
opportunity
yeah.
to save Pandora, and instead of saving Pandora, we got so bad that we just rushed Zeus. Like that's stupid to me, and that's so
He
crazy to me.
kills he like rips off the wings off the fucking Sisters of Fate and murders the fucking shit out of them.
Yeah,
Changes the fabric of time. Like
it
crazy
is
shit, man.
it is so stupid, but it fucking
By the end
works.
of the game, he's killed the whole pantheon, and he's just caused Armageddon to happen at the end of God of War 3. It is pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah,
You know.
it's pretty crazy,
Yeah.
and it's like we got away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
okay. That's an interesting point about God of War. So, did you hear Jaffe, like David Jaffe's thoughts on Kratos
yeah, and
recently?
I thought it was idiotic. I
Okay,
honestly
you
did.
don't agree with it. Okay,
No.
cuz well, I understand where he's coming from though, cuz he's describing Kratos as a static character, somebody who doesn't change throughout the story.
Yeah.
And I disagree with his viewpoint too. I don't think it was the wrong choice to make
Well, I wouldn't
Kratos.
say idiotic. I'm sorry. I disagree. I don't think his takes were idiotic. That was dumb of me to say that. I
Mhm.
apologize. But yeah, I don't agree with his takes on Kratos. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was a fine decision to take Kratos in a more like he actually grows and changes as a character. Like I like that element to the reboot. But at the same time, I understand where he's coming from in context of what you're saying. That decision took us away from the crazy zany shit that happened in God of War. Because when you have a static character like him, you know, like it almost inevitably leads you to the insanity that happens in God of War 3. You know,
Yeah.
there's no other choice because he doesn't change. He never reflects on his actions. He just goes forward, you know? Um, and that's how you get a story like that. And it's the same thing, like we were talking about Attack on Titan, right? Like Aaron's the same kind of character. He is what he is. He never really changes, you know, throughout the course of the story. And that leads to these insane events that happen in the story that become like the narrative gets absolutely bonkers by the end of it, you know? And
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying with these stories, and PlayStation does this a lot where they don't let things get crazy in most of their games. Like Spider-Man 2 is probably the closest thing to that, you know.
Yeah. It was totally
Um
ridiculous that Venom took over the entire city and no one
it
cared.
is. Yeah. It is. And that's like the only game they're kind of doing that in though. You know,
Yeah.
like Last of Us doesn't do that. Ghost of Tsushima doesn't really do that. God of War, you know, it's kind of interesting, doesn't really do that to me, you know. It's a little bit more uh
It's grounded.
conservative, I guess, in
It's
what
it,
happens in that story, you know?
yeah. It's the word I would use is grounded. I think it's more.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
more
that's a good way to
grounded
put it.
its
Yeah.
appeal, and I understand that because not many people will. I would say Western audiences in general um don't really like bombastic shit. Like, look at our media, right? We like, I don't know if you've seen like Godzilla or whatever. So like Godzilla, they always like the American versions of Godzilla, they always have to kind of humanize it. And like even Godzilla versus King Kong, it was kind of like it was bombastic, but it was like American version bombastic. Whereas like you look at Shin Godzilla on the Japanese side, and that's just this motherfucker's blowing up cities and shit like that. Like he's going absolutely ape
Yeah.
shit, like and they still have like a narrative focus on it or whatever the case may be. And I just don't think Western audiences or American audiences in general. I think the UK is a little bit a mixed bag because even their stuff is like their comedy, especially like their comedy, like Monty Python, right? I think that's a good example. Our comedy is also different too, right? Like look at like Monty Python compared to like I don't fucking know, will be the Western equivalent to Monty Python or
Um,
whatever.
I
Um,
mean, The Office, I guess.
yeah, maybe something like that. But even we took the office from them. Remember that was their thing first.
No, I
Um,
know, but the way we did it, like I know the show gets zany at times, but it's not a show just about comedy. I think it's kind of what you're getting at, though. There's some
yeah,
serious moments in The Office, you know.
yeah. There's a lot of humanizing moments. Whereas with like Monty Python, we literally had the Black Knight who would not give the
Dude, it's
fuck up.
completely insane. It is completely insane and unhinged. Everything that happens in the Monty Python movies, the television show, every scene they ever did was just complete unhinged, ridiculous insanity.
And
And
then when we do get shows or movies that show that, like Everywhere All at Once, that I don't know if you've seen that movie. That movie
I've
is
not.
completely crazy. You need to see the movie. It's fucking good actually. But I got Oscars and everything like that because like I feel like American audiences never really experienced that before. And when they do see it done in a way that they can like digest it, they're like, oh my God. We never like The Matrix, for instance. That's the greatest
Yeah,
example of like a zany ass movie. That movie is batshit insane. Like, who would have thought of that
it
shit?
is.
You know what I'm saying? And
But
when it's
that's why
done in
it's
the
good, right? It's out there,
exactly,
man, you know?
exactly. And I will even go as far as to say Star Wars is that. Star Wars started off as because before all we had was Star Trek. That's all we had. And then we got Star Wars. And Star Wars is nonsensical. They're space wizards, motherfucker, pulling stuff with their minds or whatever the fuck. We got a little green fucking monster walking around speaking in backwards and shit. It's zany. And then we turned it into this like, oh, we want to tell a fucking real story. Like, it's never been that in its at its core. It's an opera. Operas are bombastic. And when I play these games from Star Wars games, right? Like, except for like outside of like the Battlefront games, and even like I would even, and that's why I think we allowed the grounded games because we knew how bombastic Star Wars was, right? So like we had
Mm.
Star Wars Commandos, right, where it wasn't like it was tactical. It was like the tactical version of because all we saw the stormtroopers and the fucking clones was like and they fucking getting thrown somewhere and can't aim and shit. But then you got Star Wars Commandos where these guys are fucking elite commandos and they're like, tactical one, move over here and stuff like that. Like it's crazy, right? And it's like it's crazy in a good way where it's like it's grounded because you never seen the clone troopers like this before. You're
Mm.
like,
Mhm.
wow, they can be very tactical. And stuff like that. And I think that's why we like Fallen Order so much, is because it was like a more grounded version of the Star Wars story. It was like I mean, even though it came out on all consoles, in my opinion, it was the PlayStation version of what a Star Wars story should be, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even at the end, you fight fucking Vader. He kills his minions. He kills Trilla. Trilla was batshit insane, and it just went insane. And then it kind of condensed itself again when I played when I played Survivor, because they introduced all these concepts and then like they kind of take it away from you. And it's like, why did why is he not more crazier? Like,
yeah.
Why is he still? He's Han Solo mixed with Luke. That's who he is. That's who Cal is. It's like I don't
Yeah.
want that, bro. I want. That's why when I got Force Unleashed and I got like Jedi Outcast and shit like that, like the games were like nonsensical. But bro, I can pull a fucking Star Destroyer out the sky. That's insane to me. No one has done that before. And no one has done it since. Because we all want, even gamers today, and it's not Survivor, it's the trend of games as far as like action games and stuff like that. Everybody wants like this grounded The Last of Us, God of War, fucking Horizon Zero Dawn aspect of gaming. And it's like I don't want Tomb Raider. Like I used to like Tomb Raider, bro, because I went into a cave one time and a fucking T-Rex attacked me. That's crazy. Like
yeah.
Like I don't get that in the new Tomb Raider games because they Uncharted it now. Everybody's trying to be Naughty Dog.
I don't even think they did that, dude. Aren't those games like really dark and somber?
Yeah, but it's like
they like The Last of Us Tomb Raider.
Yeah, and it's like
maybe that's it though. Maybe that's the influence, dude.
That's why I liked Uncharted so much because I was fighting fucking ghosts and demons in that shit. I'm like,
well,
bro,
no, yeah, dude, it is like the Uncharted games. This is why I do hold them in high regard because they're from a different time, man. They're just zany adventures, you know? Like they're crazy. There's crazy shit happening in those games. Dude, there's a point in Uncharted 2 where Nathan Drake is literally trying to jump on a fucking moving train and he's literally getting attacked, bombed. Fucking guys with RPGs are on the train shooting at him and shit. And then he gets on the fucking train and there's a fucking helicopter blowing half the train up, following the train the entire time he's on the train. This fucking helicopter is trying to kill him. Just him. The only person he's trying to kill is him. And you kill like 85 guys in this fucking mission. It's crazy shit. And it's amazing though. It's so fucking fun. It's hilarious. Like, you know, Drake's actually a good quippy character, you know, like he's not annoying. Like he doesn't get on your nerves by the end of the third game. And it's like,
and you know what? That's why I said they did it with Tomb Raider because they did the same shit. And it's like I already experienced this with Nathan Drake. You know, I just want the Tomb Raider that I used to know. Like she barely raids any tombs. I don't fucking know, bro. Like it's just and then they just try to turn her into like Katniss from fucking Hunger Games. And it's just like I don't want that, right? And maybe that's just because maybe that's the style of games that like the newer audiences like or the younger audiences like because they kind of grew up with that or whatever the case may be. And they didn't grow up with like when we were growing up. And yes, a lot of the games that we play that are old are terrible. I will concede to that. But amidst that terribleness, there were a lot of ideas people were just throwing to the fucking wall and hoping it stick. And we got some crazy stories out of that. We got some crazy shit out of that. And you know what? The only people that are still doing that are like Eastern developers. Like they're still just throwing shit to the wall or they're sticking to their guns and making shit zany. Like the Yakuza franchise is literally insane because I can beat the shit out of somebody in the middle of Japanese street and no, everyone's just scared of me because I'm the part of the fucking Yakuza. And it's crazy. And I'll be walking down the street once randomly and then my rival will come out of nowhere and be like, hey, let's have a knife fight this time. You're like, bro, I really just tried to go to the store. No, this time I'm going to beat you. Like it's like it's just crazy and stupid like that. And I think that's why I did like Spider-Man 2 as well, because you're beating up people and then like you're doing combos with these people, crazy shit, throwing like fucking cars into them, and they're just like, we're not dead,
bro, you're ending lives, man. There's no shot that Peter doesn't kill anybody in that game. There's no shot, none at all.
It's like the Venom people. There are people inside of Venom, and you're just like,
oh my god, you are beating the Venom symbiote off of them.
It makes no sense, and I fucking love it. I think I criticized it before, but at the end of the day,
it is funny. It is really funny, actually.
It's just fucking stupid. And it's like a serious narrative around it, right? But then you have that aspect of it. Oh, we're just a video game still.
No, and I love early in that section of the game where Peter and Miles are like, "What do we do? What do we do? I don't know. Beat them up." And then it's like, "Hey, it's working." It's like, okay, I guess we'll just keep beating people up. hopefully we don't beat them hard enough that it actually damages them, you know?
Yeah,
And then I love when you finish those combats though against the symbiotes, the symbiote monsters, and the people they're just in like their normal clothes and they just get up and walk away. Like they're like, oh, thanks, Spider-Man, and they're like they just go about, just go about their day. Like
it is so dope.
yeah.
So like that's my big. I'm not going to harp on this anymore. I've been going on, but that's my
Mhm.
biggest problem with Jedi Survivor. My problem with Jedi Survivor is once again
It
the
doesn't
same
let
with the.
itself have fun. That's what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
it's too fucking safe, man. And I understand why they did it with the first game. I don't understand why they didn't do it with the second game. And I know people are like, oh, well, there's crazy sections in the game, man. It's like it's not enough for me. I'm sorry, y'all, but it's still a good game. It's still like a decent 8 for me.
I gotta
But
play it.
like for me though, it's a no. I mean, for me, I won't go back and play it, but it is a decent 8, and I'm not going to hate on the game. I love Respawn. I love everything that they do. Uh, and I actually like this game, but it's just as far as like the negatives for the year, that is my negative for the year for this game, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's get into the good shit.
Yeah, let's get into good shit.
You have a much longer list than me. We do have
Yeah,
some overlap.
yeah, I can kind of blast through some of them. So Resident
Yeah,
Evil
go ahead.
4, Hi-Fi Rush, obviously it's a crazy game, rhythm game, action game, Devil May Cry style, character action type game, but you have rhythm with it. The story is completely nonsensical. I don't fucking care about. I mean, it's a crazy story. I think all the characters are really good. It is a short game. I think people should try it. It's a really fun game. It was a surprise for me when it came out this year, and I absolutely loved it. Resident Evil 4, I mean, it's nothing much to say. It's Resident Evil fucking 4, y'all. Like the game's really fucking good. This actually one criticism. They still have some of the zaniness, but they went really western with this game. Leon doesn't he is more light-hearted in this game compared to like Resident Evil 2 Leon remake. But he's not the Leon. They got a lot of a lot of the zaniness to make it a little bit more safe, and whatever the case may be. And you know what? I don't mind it for this franchise, I guess, because it's been zany kind of all its life. But I mean, they still have elements there which I respect. The knife, I think the knife fight was cool and everything of that nature. I love the game. There are some parts that just doesn't make sense of it, and I love that part of it too, and everything of that nature. I think it was a very faithful remake. I think they kept aspects of both nostalgia and new players can get. Highly recommend it. Crisis Core remake. Actually, this one should be negative, but I'm gonna let it slide.
Okay.
The reason I'm gonna let it slide is because I don't like the voice actor. I hate the voice actor. He actually changes the personality of Zach so much for me, to the point where I started playing in Japanese because he had the same. I think he has the same Japanese voice actor. I think I'm not sure, but I started playing in Japanese because I did not like the voice actor so much. He sounds like a fucking dweeb, and that's the. I don't even use the word dweeb, but that's what he sounds like, a fucking nasally dweeb, and kind of changes the whole personality for Zach.
Sephiroth, why'd you kill those guys?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like, I don't know. If you go back and listen to the old voice actor and then listen to the new voice actor in certain scenes, the character, the moment, the emotion changes to what Zach is trying. Because in the game, it was in the original Crisis Core, Zach was like, he was trying to be cool, right? But he wasn't trying like too hard. He was just a person trying to keep up with Angel and Sephiroth and Genesis. That's all he was trying to keep up with. In this game, he's like, believe it. Like that's how I feel when I played Zach.
No.
I felt like a believe it type character. Like I'm just as good as those guys, and it's like no.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So even though they have the same lines, it's so crazy how much an inflection or a voice can change your entire perspective on the character. And I'm really disappointed that he's going in the same direction. I'm going to skip the other one that I have here because we both have that on our list.
Dead Space. Well, hold on. There's a game you didn't mention. You didn't put Bomb Rush Cyberpunk on your list? Did that not make it for you?
Oh shit! Yeah, man, I played so many fucking games this year.
I know you played a lot of
Uh,
shit.
I didn't even realize it until I was doing my list. Yes. So Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It's another game I really fucking loved. Uh, the game was really short. Well, it wasn't really short. It was short. Yeah. The main issue I had with the game was the bugs. Like there was a huge save bug that really like stopped me from playing the game because it like wiped off like the
Uh-huh.
last 25% of my gameplay.
Oh, that sucks.
Like I have the achievements that I beat the game in Steam, but like it wiped off a lot of that shit. And they did some stuff where you can cycle through and shuffle the songs now. When I was originally playing, uh, if you were in the area and you were like listening to that gang's type of music, like for instance, uh, you're going against this one game called the House Cats, and it
Mhm.
played house music the entire time, which is a genre or whatever. It was just playing house music, and it wouldn't cycle through any of the other music. So I went through this other section of the game where I'm like fighting the old school people or whatever, who's doing like the old school pop locking dropping music or whatever, and it was just playing that music over and over again. But now they changed it to where you know you can cycle through all the music and listen to all the music. I think the music is really good. This game is Jet Set Radio 3, a spiritual successor of Jet Set Radio. I think they did a really good job. I think all the characters are really good. I think all the
Mm.
gangs are really good. I think they established the world really well. And this is made by an independent company, like a real small independent company. They did a really good job. I think they did such a good job that they forced Sega's hand to actually make another Jet Set Radio, which they are doing.
Nice.
Um, um, so yeah, I this is definitely one of my indies of the year. I was very disappointed that it was not on the games list. Actually, up for a contender for game indie of the year. This game easily should have won it or should have been nominated. It was actually a travesty. I think it was a disservice actually to the company, to Team Lizard, and or is their name Team Lizard? I think their name Team Lizard. Um, or Team Reptile. I think their name's Team Reptile. I'm sorry. I think it was a disservice to them, and um, yes, their name's Team Reptile. Um, and I think it's just a disservice to the players that it didn't get the recognition it got, because a lot of the games that were featured in the Game Awards got a bump in like sales. And even though this one's doing really good to where now they're doing physical stuff now, you can buy it physically. Um, I still think, man, like for people who are looking at for that Jet Set Radio itch, this definitely did it. Did
Mhm.
it? The music, uh, and everything of that nature is just really good, man. So yeah, Bomb Rush, highly recommended. I already talked about Armored Core. Death Stranding, I played it this year, so that's why that's on my list for this year. I recommend
Mm.
people play it. I'm not going to harp on it too long. It's one of those games where I describe it to you, you're like, you're just playing a UPS simulator. I don't fucking get it. Trust me, I didn't get it too. I didn't get it either until I fucking played the game. And it's not Kojima dick riding. It's just the game's fucking good. I don't know how to explain it to you. I
Yeah.
was like y'all too. I was like, y'all just dick riding Kojima. Like, this game not that fucking good, y'all. Shut the fuck up. And I played the game and I was just like, oh, I see what he's trying to do there. And I think this game would have done really well if I had played it during the fucking pandemic. This is definitely a pandemic
Mm.
game.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh and once y'all play it, y'all understand what I'm talking about. I played another game this year, which came out way a long time ago, which is Metroid: Samus Returns. I would manage to get a new 3DS. Shit was expensive as fuck. It was like $300. But
Damn.
I managed to get an N3DS, and I played Samus Returns, and it's pretty much Metroid Dread, but like Metroid Dread is the the 1.5 version of this game. Metroid Samus Returns is a really good fucking game. I recommend people play it. You can probably get it off of Amazon for like $19 or something like that. Really fucking good game. Nothing too much to say about it. It is the Metroidvania style type game. Really good. And then lastly for me is Dead Space remake. This game is a faithful one for one remake to the original game, and it improves the original game in every single way. Um, Masterpiece, phenomenal game. I'm interested what they're gonna do with
Mm,
Dead Space 2. But like this
mhm.
game was like made with a lot of fucking love. Um, I I yeah, man.
Well,
One of the rare remakes where I'm just like, you have to
mhm.
fucking it one for one is better than the original game. Seriously. Like,
Yeah, do you think they're gonna remake 2, or do
yes.
you think they're gonna take it in a different direction?
They might remake 2 in the same way. I think they may take 2 in a different direction because 3, a lot of people didn't like 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 3 had the co-op, didn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people didn't like 3 because it went a little bit more actiony. Um, but yeah, I think they may take 2 in a different direction. Or they may warp some things because a lot of people generally like 2. And I think Dead Space remake even has some elements of 2 in it. It's just a really good fucking game, man. Like
Mhm.
a really good game. I recommend you play it. I know you don't really like scary games, but it's a good
I
game. Like,
know, I know. It's on my list, man. Dude, like, there's so many games this year that both of us did not play. Like,
yeah,
or like Tears of the Kingdom, we didn't play.
yeah.
You played a lot more than me. Like, you played Jedi Survivor, you played Resident Evil 4, you played this. I didn't play any of those. So it's like, I don't know. Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty, didn't touch that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I forgot to put that on my list, but I didn't want to count that game. But I guess that's since I play other games, I did Cyberpunk rather. That goes on my list too because I think the 2.0 changes really changed the game for me, and it made it so much fun. The builds you can do in that game are crazy.
mm,
Um, and you do have to do multiple playthroughs to do other builds, which I like about the game. I think the stories and the characters are really good actually now. Like the story is really good, man. They did a really good job. They did their thing. CD Projekt Red did their thing and they changed the game around. And Dogtown is really good as well. I really have a sense of I actually was so engrossed in the world that I watched a 4 hour video on the lore of Cyberpunk. So
mhm,
um, I know a lot about the lore now, and even within the lore, they have nicknames and stuff like that, almost like a real world thing because of the
mm,
events that happen in their life, the events that happen in the cyberpunk world. Like
mhm,
choom, like if somebody calls somebody a choom, uh, that's because like that's a form of energy in the world that people use, and it's actually an abbreviation for something. I forgot what the hell abbreviation is, but the lore is deep in the game. I hope they explore other parts of the cyberpunk world instead of just Night City. I want to actually go into other parts of the world as well. Because the world is kind of fucked, but in a good way. So it's just a fun world to explore. It's not Fallout level, but it's like if Fallout almost happened, but then we just didn't.
mhm.
So it's a
Yeah.
really cool world to explore, in my opinion. So yeah, that's another game that's like on my that I enjoyed this year and that I think people should really give a chance. And I was the biggest cyberpunk hater. So if I'm saying that,
Mhm.
like
Oh, yeah.
I think some people should try it again.
Yep, definitely. All right. Let me go through the ones I played that you did not play.
Hmm.
I have so first one I have is Honkai Star Rail. I've been playing this game since it came out. I was really obsessed with it for the first month or two after it came out. I have significantly kind of dialed back my playtime with this game, but I am still playing it multiple times a week at this point. It is a really quality game. I think for a turn based RPG, and I think it's a gotcha game. It's actually a really interesting game because compared to Genshin, it is just so much more. I don't know, reasonable. Like there's so much more generous in this game. Like they give you like a free temple every patch, which Genshin never does shit like that. And the I think the amount of currency they give you is like it's kind of just enough to get what you want if you're reasonable. Like if you're not trying to get every character, you can play this game pretty reasonably as a low spender or free to play, I feel like. And I think that's the reason I've stuck with it for so long is that it does not require a very large time investment from me. It takes about 10 minutes to do my daily stuff. Not even some days. Some days it's like 5 minutes, literally. So there's that aspect of the game. If I don't feel like playing, I literally just need to log in for 5 minutes, and do my stuff and log out, Um, but I think the other aspect to it is I think the world is interesting. I think the problem I'm starting to run into with this game though is the story is just right now. I'm kind of waiting for this next chapter to start because 2.0 is the next patch actually coming up. We're gonna get a new planet that we're going to. But man, the story's just kind of all over the place. Like it feels like they're really trying to shoehorn in their banner characters into the story just to have them be part of the story so you'll pull for them. Whereas it's just like it's creating this really disjointed narrative where they're trying to like build the lore up and stuff like that, but you don't feel like there's any forward momentum in the overarching narrative, which is a similar problem that Genshin actually has too. So um I'm not super surprised by it, but it is kind of one of those things with this game. But um yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say about it. Um I you know I wouldn't really recommend it to people just by nature of the gotcha element of it. If you're not into gotcha games, or you are, but you have a gambling problem, I really wouldn't recommend getting into this game. Like you need self control. Like you need to have self control to play this kind of thing. I think, or you need to have access to a lot of money. One of the two. But it is a really quality game though. So I'll say that much. Moving on, the second one for me is came in late in the year here is Against the Storm, dude. This game has just taken me by absolute surprise how much I've enjoyed this game. I think I'm up to about 40 hours played since I started playing it a few weeks back. And man, I'm really still really into this game. I'm just enjoying this a lot. It's, as a city builder, it's just I like the fact that it isn't you don't just build cities. Like there's more to the game than that. I like the little kind of world map they have. I like the progression outside of building your settlements. I enjoy that aspect to it. I also enjoy the kind of roguelike element to it, is that you're building settlements. Like you build a settlement and it takes you like an hour to an hour and a half to complete it. And then you
Yeah.
move on to the next one and you kind of start over with a different environment that you're in, different worker types that you might have, like different races of workers that you have to utilize. And they do different things, like they do certain things well. Like beavers, for instance, like they have a chance of getting double production when cutting wood. Humans are really good at farming, stuff like that, and you kind of have to adapt your play style around those things. And I like that element in this game. I think it's really well executed. I do think the one thing I'm starting to butt up against though is the difficulty curve in the game is really interesting, where it is not obvious that the game's progression is tied to difficulty. It is not tied to you just playing the game and like time invested, because the game scales your rewards based on the difficulty you're playing it at. And the early levels, the scaling of the early difficulties is so low that at a certain point you're going to hit such an extreme wall of progression that you're not going to progress the game forward at all. So I've seen a lot of discussion about this on Reddit and other places about it's not obvious that the game wants you to up the difficulty. I figured that out pretty early on, but I think a lot of people have not. And I do. That's the one element to the game that may give me a little pause, is because there's actually 24 difficulties in the game, and I'm on the fourth one right now. So I'm like, if I'm gonna keep playing this game, you have to get all the way to the last one in order to actually beat the game, and that's a lot to do because so far the difficulty jumps have been really extreme. They've required a complete change in the way you play the game. And that's not going to continue to happen. Like the next difficulty level is prestige, and there's 20 levels to prestige difficulty. So they kind of bite size the jumps a little bit more in that one. So it's not as extreme, but there are some in there that are really brutal. Some modifiers that they put in there that are really brutal. So I think that's the one thing about the game that I do kind of wish they had given a way to progress that wasn't tied to difficulty necessarily, because as like the early part of the game is really chill because it's like kind of it's easy, right? Like the game's not hard early on the lower difficulties, and as you layer more mechanics on, the game starts getting really difficult, where your workers are really unhappy and they want to leave. Sometimes they'll just die to an effect or something like that. And then you've got this like blight rod infecting your fucking settlement and shit, and you got to deal with that. And it's like all these mechanics, like they make the game a lot more stressful to deal with. So I think that's kind of like the one element, I guess, to the game that I think they could have done a little bit differently, maybe. But other than that, I think this game is phenomenal. Like it's super fun. If you're into city builders or you've always considered one, I think this is a good one to jump into because it's very different from like your city skylines type or your city sim city type game. And yeah, it's cool. I like the world too. It's really like unique. You've got these anthropomorphic animal races along with humans, of course, but and it's there's no combat per se either, and I do like that fact also. Actually, I just think it's really unique. It's a really unique game, and I think it's really cool. Third game I want to talk about is from earlier in the year is Atelier Ryza 3. So I never beat this game. It's on my list to go back to and finish because I really do want to finish it. But I think out of every game that I played this year, I think this one is still my favorite. um, I love this game, man. Like it's got such a chill vibe to it. It's so like I don't know, the characters are just happy to exist. Like there's no drama, there's no like there's not like it's not super somber or serious or anything like that. It's kind of a goofy game. It has some elements where it gets a little serious sometimes, but for the most part, it's just kind of a happy go lucky adventure, you know. Um and I like that. I don't know. I like that vibe in a JRPG. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be like a hyper serious storyline for me. I think the other thing with this game, though, is the crafting system in this game is so robust, and I just love it. As somebody who's always been the crafter in MMOs, who just like really likes to get into the crafting systems in MMOs, I love this game's crafting system. It is so fucking good. There's so many layers to it, and it's really rewarding when you start to get an understanding of it. Because you start really making huge leaps in terms of your kind of power of your party and stuff and some of the things you're able to make. Um, you start making equipment that's fucking insane, like has crazy stats on it, humongous jumps and statistical power and stuff like that. And it's cool. Like I think this game is different. Like I was just talking about progression with Against the Storm. Like the progression in this game is really tied behind your knowledge of the crafting system, and I really enjoy that element to it. I think it's just I don't know. It's a really good game. The interface is good. The information you need to learn how to craft is all in the game for the most part too. The game doesn't really hide anything from you. It'll even tell you where certain materials are. If you're looking for a specific material or something like that, you can figure that out fairly easily, as well. And I think yeah, it's a great game. I highly recommend it. I do want to go back and finish that one for sure. So, all right. So the rest of the games on the list are ones that we both played. So you want to start with Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, I didn't put it on the list because I saw that you already had it there. But yeah, I like Spider Man too. Despite all the criticisms that we did have of it, I still enjoyed the game overall. Um, yeah, like the criticisms I had of it, I can't remember. I think it was just the way the direction of the story went, or the direction of how
Yeah,
the story was
it was.
going. Um, but I think it did actually kind of improve over Spider Man, the original Spider Man, in every way. Um, as far as like combat and switching back and forth to other Spider-Mans and stuff like that. Uh I I still don't like the Mary Jane sections, but they are definitely a drastic improvement over the old
Yeah.
Mary Jane sections.
Hmm.
Um and I kind of like how they just didn't care. I mean, at the time, like I said, we criticized it at the time where Mary Jane was just popping people. She got more bodies than Peter at this point, I think. But
Hmm.
uh at the end of the day, like I guess that's a part of the zaniness that I don't. I guess I don't care about. If I replay the game, I wouldn't fucking care. I like how they introduced Venom. Actually, they did it kind of like the Spider-Man 3 way of his weaknesses. Spider-Man
Mm.
3, the movie. Actually, I mean, how he was like really weak to sound. I can't remember the comics if he's weak to sound too or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I still think though. my a couple criticisms is I think the game kind of lasted a little bit too long for me. I really didn't like how Miles was just jetted to the side a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though he did have some story beats. And I understand this wasn't his major story, but this is Spider-Man 2, and I just felt like it was Spider-Man Peters 2.
Yeah, if you're gonna
Um,
put him in the game, put him in the game.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah,
Um,
because I feel like this is how I feel. Actually, the game is weird. The way it's structured is weird. I do feel like Miles is a significant character in the first half of the game. You know,
yeah,
like he's got a lot going on. There's sections of the game where you are playing exclusively as him, and they're deliberately weaving him into the story. And then I feel like as the game goes on, he becomes much more of a side character as the further we get into the game. And he still has good moments. There's some good sections.
oh yeah, yeah,
The fight against Mr. Negative was actually a really awesome part of the game. I really enjoyed that fight a lot. But and even later in the game, he's an integral part of them succeeding. It's not like he's not there. We're not
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that, but it just feels like he doesn't get to have a lot of little moments though, like the
I
way Peter
felt,
does.
yeah, I felt like, yeah, he does have a little moments, but you're right. He doesn't have a lot like Peter does. I felt like he was there for Peter's growth as far as character
Yeah,
development. He was
yeah,
used as a tool for Peter to grow, because we do see Peter grow a lot in this game. If you're a Peter fan, you're not really a Miles fan. You will love this game. I'm a fan of both, so that's my criticism. Because he's used to he yeah like he just used as a tool to kind of get Peter, and he grows in his as well. So I guess you can say that as well. Like Miles becomes his own thing as well towards the end, to where he had that ugly Spider-Man suit.
hmm yeah,
But I don't know. The other thing was like the length of the game. Um, I don't know how they could have shortened out the game, in my opinion, but after playing Miles Morales, like man, that game's like the perfect length of a game of this
hmm
scale, you know.
hmm
Um,
yeah.
and that was another one of my criticisms. It just seemed like the game kept going and going and going. I'm just like, and maybe that's because I was just playing it nonstop. That could be because of that. But I feel like if I was to do another playthrough of the game, I would probably put it down halfway through because I'm just like tired of it again. Um, which
Yeah.
luckily you don't have to play through the game to get a platinum. You can continue the game
Yes.
to do
Yes.
that.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
Because you had to do it in Miles Morales. But yeah, I don't know. I think the game's really good. I understand why it didn't get game of the year though. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't understand. I I didn't like the takes for Baldur's Gate. Now that I played Baldur's Gate, I completely understand why Baldur's Gate got game of the year. Like hands down, we haven't had a game like this within the last 15 years. Like, and you can't deny
Well,
that.
okay. All right. All right. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Let's calm the fuck down.
we have it.
Montrell, like The Witcher 3 exists, okay?
No, 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 no.
You talking about
Yes,
CRPGs? Okay. Okay.
CRPGs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll kind of give you that, I guess.
Yeah. We haven't had a CRPG
Of
become
this
game of the year.
quality, like we've had
Yes.
them. They
Yeah. No,
exist.
no,
Like
no. Yeah, we
Pillars of
have them.
Eternity, Divinity,
Yeah.
But
We have
yeah.
them, but like I said, not to this scale, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they definitely put their money where their mouth was at, and it showed. Um, and I think it's like I said, it's a generational game. It's one of those generational games. Um, that being said, even if Baldur's Gate wasn't in the running, it still wouldn't have been my game of the year. I don't know why. It's just something that was missing. Spider-Man
Well,
2 is missing something.
it's the Sony thing, dude. It's I think it's just they're too safe. Like they didn't go like it's not a hugely innovative game. It didn't like it could have existed in 2018. It's like it
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
true.
It is a jump over the 2018 game, and it's a jump over Miles Morales, but it's not a large jump. It's kind of just a step, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why it doesn't stand out this year like that much to most people. I feel like, Because I mean it is a great game. Like I love it. I think it's an awesome game this year, and I think the story, the narrative overall is really good. Actually, like I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it a lot. There's some really great moments. I love the way Venom gets introduced and Craven in them clash. I love that part of the game. Like so but I think the issue with it is just kind of more of the same largely, and I think at a certain point I'm actually part of me is kind of happy that we're not going to get 3 for a really long time. It's like I think they said it was like 2028 or something on the timeline that they had
yeah,
for Insomniac. I'm kind of glad it's going to go away for that long. I don't know what this Venom game is going to be. But even if it comes out next year, there's going to be a 3-year gap between that and this next Spider-Man game, which I think is good. It's going to be appropriate. I don't want them to over like kind of beat this into the ground that much. I mean, they kind of already are. 5 games in 10 years is a lot when we get there, but still, like I think it's still really good. It hasn't overstayed its welcome yet. um, I just like to see with the next couple games, though. I would like to see them go a little bit. I don't know. It's weird to say this. I'd like to see them go a little crazier, kind of to your point earlier, because the end of the game is crazy. But I'd like to see them go a little crazier with the gameplay. I guess is more what I mean. Because I think that part of the game is really the part to me that there's a lot of changes. There are for sure, especially in like the gadget realm and some of the abilities and stuff that Peter and Miles have. But I just don't think they went far enough with that stuff. Um,
yeah. I just don't know where they can go now with the game. I understand what they're about to do with the game. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who didn't beat it, because it's
mhm.
still kind of new. But I don't know where you can go with it. I don't know how you can make it more crazy or zany or whatever the case may be. Um, I mean, I guess you can do some crazy stuff, introduce some crazy villains, introduce some crazy concepts. I think this is probably the craziest we're gonna get as far as superhero games, and that's saying a lot. I think they actually did go crazy, to be honest with you.
I
Like,
just think they should be ballsier though. Like kill somebody important.
okay, you talking
Like
about like
they
story wise and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
Okay,
that is. I think in both realms, like gameplay and story, like they need to go a little crazier. I'm with you. I don't know how they can make the gameplay crazier, but that's their job. It's like that's what they're supposed to do. They need to figure that out. Like, I don't know what layers they
yeah,
could add. Like, is there more they could add to the game? Because there's actually a lot in the game right now as it stands. There's
yeah, it's
upgrading
a
your suit,
lot.
there's upgrading your suit. There's upgrading Peter and Miles. There's one more progression system I think I'm forgetting as well in there.
uh,
So there's actually
yeah,
a lot in the game as it stands. But that's not where I mean it. I mean it more in the like action part of the combat. The actual fighting
yeah,
section. So
yeah. Maybe if they get away from the whole, which they can't now, it's kind of a staple to the game, but it still has it's in a super improved version of the Batman Arkham style combat. Um,
yeah, I think that's my problem. Is that's all it is. It's just a better
excuse me.
version of Arkham. Bless you.
Yeah. Um,
It's just a better version of Arkham, and I'd like to see a little bit more out of that. Or is this it?
yeah.
Is this the peak of that kind of gameplay?
I think this may be the peak, to be honest with you. You have to introduce a whole new combat system, and it's too risky right now to do that. You can probably do it with Venom. You can probably get away with it with Venom, in my opinion.
I
But
hope so. That's where I hope they do it for sure.
yeah, you can probably do like a hybrid version, and then if people are receptive to like the hybrid version, then in Spider-Man 3 you can go like 90% newer and have like a 10% older or whatever the case may be. Which was actually like my issue, even though I know it was like uh just an alpha or whatever. Like um I think like the Wolverine game, I think I'm not gonna harp on that a little bit. But it's like that was kind of my main issue with the Wolverine game. Like it looks really fucking good. It doesn't look trash like everyone was saying. I would just want them to go a little bit more crazy. The combat looked a little safe, but it is still pre-alpha. We don't even know if that's going to stick. We don't even know if we saw is going to stick now. Um,
Right.
but Yeah, that's what I kind of wanted from the Wolverine game. That's kind of what I was like, just putting on the Wolverine game. Maybe that one will be more crazier than the Spider-Man games or whatever the case may be.
Mm,
But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
okay, fair enough. All right, next one is Fire Emblem Engage, which we both played. I finished this game. I don't know. Did you ever beat it or no?
No, I haven't beat it yet, but I love the
Okay,
game. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, this game was really early in the year. It came out in January. Um, and as the year has worn on, this game is just stuck in my mind. Like, this is a really good Fire Emblem game. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think gameplay wise, this is the peak of the series since like the Radiant games, like the two Tellius games, and that is saying a lot for me. Like that's I don't know. Like I just enjoyed the battles so much. Like I think they did a fucking great job with the progression, the battles themselves. The I think the only criticism I have of this game is that I think they assumed a little bit too much that people wanted to play this game as like a game you grind, and
Yeah.
they bake that into the progression system, and I think that was a mistake. Um I would like to see a return, like a game like this, return more to the Tellius games where you have a fixed leveling curve, you know? Not saying the stats are still randomized, but you only have a certain number of levels, to work with. Like there's a level cap in the game and you cannot get around that, and they've baked that into Fire Emblem ever since Awakening, where you can reset your characters to level 1 and level them again, and all that shit. And they've been doing that in every game since. And I kind of like to see them go back to the older school games where there's a fixed amount of experience in the game. Like you can't grind.
You,
Um
you know what I would like for them to do? I would like for them to return to the heroes on the cover type deal.
yeah.
I don't want to be inserted into the Fire Emblem universe. I don't want a hero like how on the cover you had Ike and he was the main character, but he would talk to
Yeah.
you as a tactician or whatever the case may be, or in Fire Emblem Blazing Sword, or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. No,
yeah,
no, like player MC. Yeah.
yeah, like you were just a tactician. And they would talk to you because you were really good at
Right.
planning stuff.
Dude, that's why
Um,
the two Tellius games are so fucking good, because it's about the characters in the games. It's not
yeah,
about you. Like,
yeah, and I
yeah.
I actually, even though I love Fire Emblem Engage, I really want them to go away from the avatar. Like, I don't need an avatar. I don't need to be inserted in the game. And maybe,
Yeah.
and someone said it on Twitter the other day. It is like it's a shame what I've seen with being done with my favorite franchise, Fire Emblem. And then somebody was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "They're animeifying it. They're hentai. They're pimping it out." And I'm like, "It's been like that, bro." Like, and I understand what he's meaning. Like, they're putting all the like the dating sim type deals, even though it's a lot less in this game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This game has none of that shit. You can't even
Yeah,
romance anybody. Like,
yeah,
that's not even a thing in the game. That's what I love that. I think that's like
yeah, and
that's a
I do
huge
too.
step forward for me.
Yeah, and I I I I think I love how they got rid of that. Um, but I think a lot of people want that. I think we're in the minority as far as people that don't want that shit. I think a lot of people like Three Houses because of that shit.
I
Um,
think in Three Houses it was acceptable there too, though. Like it was pairing. You kind of there were no kids. Like that is the problem I had with Fates and Awakening is the kids element. I don't care about pairing the characters up. That's fine. That's kind of
yeah,
always been a thing in Fire Emblem. Like the
no,
support
that's
system's always
yeah,
been
that's
there. You
yeah,
know.
that's. But I just don't want. I don't mind it with the characters. I don't care about my avatar doing it because you had
No,
Violet.
I totally agree with you there. Dude, the Avatar thing, it needs to go. I think it's been a
Yeah.
huge story crutch for them. The Three Houses is the only one that managed it well, I feel like.
Yes.
But
Yes. Yeah.
the other three, Awakening, Fates, and this game, the stories are bad. And
Yes.
largely because of the Avatar character, because they're
Yeah.
inserting you into the narrative and they need to justify that. And I think this game is okay. The narrative is like serviceable. It's enough to get you into the gameplay, I think. And
Yeah.
that's fine. It's not good. It's not good. But that's my thing. The gameplay is so focused in this game I love that. Like Three Houses, this is the thing. Like I compare this game to Three Houses. Like I like Three Houses a lot, but I almost can't go back and play that game anymore because of the fucking monastery bullshit. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I don't need that shit in the game. And it's so time consuming in that game that it's like it's a detriment. I just want to fight the fucking battles, bro. I just want to do the tactical gameplay. And this game kind of lets you do that. And I love that element. I love that fact with this game. And ultimately, I don't necessarily think this game is better than Three Houses, but it's really close. It's probably on par for me at the very least. The only reason Three Houses is up there though is because of the story. It's not the gameplay. This game is vastly superior in gameplay to me.
Yes, I
To
100%
Three
agree.
Houses, and that you know, I don't know. I just like I think this game is really good. It's a good direction for Fire Emblem. I will say the next game, whatever it is, I really hope they go back to a more Tellius or like Fire Emblem 8 style, which was the one with Elliewood, like the
Hmm.
GBA games.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they go back to more of that style where they're telling their own stories because it's like and like you said, no avatar. Like I don't need an avatar that fights. I don't care if you put me in the game and I'm the tactician or whatever.
Yeah.
But even if you're gonna do that for me though, like I don't want my character to be involved in the story. It needs to be about the people in the world, you know. Because again, that's why the Tellius games are so strong. It's about Ike, dude. Like it's about Ike, and then in the second game, there's more characters they add, and it's about them, you know. And that's why that game is so strong because it follows them. It doesn't follow you. You're like I don't even think you're in the narrative in those two games at all. Like they don't even acknowledge the player, as far as I remember. So it's like that's I want them to get back to that. I don't know. And maybe they feel like they can't, like they think that's a selling point of Fire Emblem now.
I think they
And
can, man. I
but
don't
I
really
don't know.
care to be inserted. I don't know. That's just me personally. Um, but no, yeah, this game, I just want the storytelling of like Three Houses. I really love Three Houses story with like the gameplay of this game, and I think they will have something on their hands. If you give me an avatar, whatever, just don't make me the main point because Three Houses was a good point. That was actually a really good point you brought with Three Houses. Even though you were Byleth, you just the story just didn't revolve around you as much. Maybe towards the end, but
It
like,
does on a specific path, but
yeah,
there's four paths in the game, and you're not the focus in the other three.
yeah.
So you're
So yeah,
there though. You are there and you're part of the story, but um I I think that's the thing. I think the reason Three Houses got away with it is they made four protagonists in the game. It was you, Claude, fuck oh god, I'm forgetting like I can't even remember their fucking names.
yeah. I can't either.
Claude, the blonde dude with the blue lions, and then oh my god,
The other chick, the chick with
the
the
chick with the who's had the axe or whatever.
yeah,
um those four characters were the protagonists, and each one of them had their own story path, and that was the way they designed the game, and I think it worked. I think it worked pretty well, personally. So um Byleth's important in every one of those paths, but the way they integrate Byleth into the story makes sense. It's not like you're just shoehorned in. You made the choice to be there. So
yeah.
it kind of works a little bit better in that regard. So, but yeah, I don't know. Engage was really good. Soundtrack is fucking awesome.
Yep.
I still listen to it occasionally, and yeah, there's just some really good tracks in there. Some really cool characters too. The whole engage system is cool. I do like that. I like that though in the context of one game. I don't need them to bring that back. So I really hope they don't. I don't need this to become like a thing that's in every game. But that's just me. All right, moving on, Montrell. I think this is the final game we need to talk about. Is Final Fantasy 16.
Now, when you want to talk about games that's just fucking bombastic, and the story's still kind of good too, still kind of good. It's not as good as I want it to be. Well, you know what? The story is good up until a certain point, but
I have, I think I've come around a little bit on this one. You
yeah,
know, I still don't like the end of the game. Like I would have preferred it to be different from how it was. However, I don't think it's bad. I
yeah.
just
And I know we were tough on it the first time.
we
Um,
were. I think this game. has one of the better Final Fantasy stories in it, though, like narratives.
Oh, for sure, definitely. And now there's this revisionist history that 15 is better than 16, and I would never stand
No.
on that. I,
Who are these
I,
people? Who
I think
are you? I don't
it was
understand.
VG Games, VG 24/7 Games,
No, dude.
like.
Oh my god, that
So
is just clown
and
shit.
then people
Okay.
people are like, I hate to admit it, but they're white. No, they're not. They're not.
No,
I
they're
I,
not.
I will stand to the test of time. This game was good still out the box. I didn't need any. I didn't need anything.
You didn't need DLC.
I didn't
You
need
didn't need
DLC.
patches. You didn't need nothing.
My
The game was
only
good.
complaint with this game was there are some parts of the game that overextend itself, and we all know what those parts are. We don't need to harp on those parts. That was a major crux of the game, in my opinion. Like the open world shit. Well, it was open world, but there was nothing to do in the open world, and just the nonsensical shit a part of the story. Like, oh, mid needs to go to the market and get some fucking bread.
God,
you know, like,
bro, Jesus Christ! She needs your help to build a ship. Like,
yeah.
God, okay.
The issue with this game was, I'll just start with the issues first. The lows were super low, and I just didn't like the lows. The highs were so fucking addicting that when you got a low part, you were just waiting. And I think that's why they did it, because they knew you were just waiting for the next fucking high.
Well, yeah, Clive's the GOAT, man, right? Like he's
Yes.
the best Final Fantasy MC, right?
Yes.
Hands down. Like, no
Hands
question.
down. Hands
I don't
down.
even think there's a contest. Like he is the best MC in Final Fantasy history.
Well, he didn't make bullshit decisions. He was just like,
no, dude, no. I was thinking about this game, right, leading up to this episode. I'm like thinking about, okay, where in my mind is Final Fantasy 16, and I think it's right up there with my favorite games this year. Like, it is probably in that top echelon, and it might be my favorite game from the year, actually. Like, thinking about it in retrospect. And dude, a lot of the reason for that though is Clive, literally. Like, he is such a man, you know? And I just love him, because I was thinking about the moment where he's going to fight Hugo for the first time, Kupka. And what does he say? He says to her, he says to him, because Hugo's like talking about Benedicta and, like, you know, oh, Sid killed her and I'm gonna take what Sid cared about most, because that's all I could do. And then Clive just takes credit for killing her when he didn't even do it. And I'm just like, what a fucking man, just playing into the moment, you know? And he's like, nah, bro, Sid didn't do that shit. I did. Motherfucker. I did it, you know? And he's just like, you know what though? I'm gonna put you right there with her. Like, I just think about that all the time, dude. Like, what game have you played where the MC talks to his fucking, like, the enemies that he's fighting like that? Like,
he was such...
no mercy, baby. No mercy.
He, like you say, he's such a man's man. But the problem, not the problem, the good thing I love about this game is they kind of made this game out to be like Game of Thrones or whatever, and it kind of wasn't, right? It had that element to it, but it was like
fell away.
It fell away. It was like a man shonen, like a shonen protagonist. Like, he just didn't give like and it's not like in an edgy way. It's just like he was like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I have a goal.
No, like, he was
my
like,
goal is to beat your ass. Like, that was my
for
goal.
real. Yeah.
Like,
unapologetic. Like, you're a bad person. You're a piece of shit. I'm going to kill you, and I'm not going to feel bad about it, okay? I'm not Sid, all right?
Exactly. It was like, oh, this is a good example. If Naruto came back to the village, right? Pain destroyed the village, and Naruto beat his ass, and at the end, he found Pain. Instead of doing like, oh, you know, Pain, we came from the same... He's like, fuck that. I'm killing you right now. I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. I don't give a fuck about your Hidden Rain village. Fuck your village. You destroyed my village. Like, I loved it, because Clive was he was about that action. He didn't care. He knew what happened. This is my goal. And then at the end, not even at the end, when he fought Baphomet, was it Baphomet?
Odin?
Not Odin. What's the other guy that had a boyfriend? The prince that was
Dion. Yeah, Bahamut.
Dion. Yeah, Bahamut. Yeah, when he fought Bahamut, that was such, like, it was like a really good. It was like a really good fight. It was such a kaiju fight. It was so
Mhm.
fucking good. It was like both of them
That's
were
the
like.
climax of the game, dude. I think that's the best. I think that might be the best moment in the game.
Well, I don't know. It's tied for me with we fought, which is face Kupka. I can't
Hugo?
remember if Hugo. Yeah, we fought Hugo.
Yeah,
Both
I
of
didn't
those
like that
moments,
one
man.
I didn't like that one as much. I
Really?
think Bahamut's better.
Oh my
I think the
god.
music kills it for me. I didn't like the music in the Titan fight, man. Like
I love the music of the Titan fight. I love everything about that fight. That fight was just like
you're
A1.
like
And then
fucking grinding like you're playing a skateboarding game,
yeah,
down his
man.
arms and shit.
That
Yeah.
shit's fucking cool. That shit is so cool. I mean, and both of them were just fucking mad, man. And then the Dion fight though, it was like so the Hugo fight was like manly men, we're brawling in the bar,
Oh
like
yeah.
now we got
Oh
to
yeah.
fight, right? In the Dion fight was like, we're gentlemen, but we're about to fight this shit out. I slapped you with my glove. Duel. What are you gonna do about it? This is the rules of the game.
It
Like
was also
that's
more
why.
desperate though. Like Dion was clearly more powerful than anybody else he had fought up to that
Yeah,
point. That was a
yeah,
struggle for him and Joshua, man. Like they barely won that one.
yeah, yep. And I don't know, man. This game, it's just so many good parts of the game, man. I like Sid. Sid was such a cool character. I was so sad when
Dude, oh my god. Yeah, he's my favorite character in the game actually, I think. Like even I love Clive, like he's right there too, but man, I love Sid. I love his portrayal in the game.
yeah. The only character I actually had issues with, and it's not because of her. It's just the way they written her was Jill.
Yeah,
I think she would have. I think she should have had a little bit more agency in the story.
I
I
agree.
didn't like how they turned her into a damsel in distress towards the end of the game
Kind
or
of, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but even still, she held her own and everything of that nature. Um, I actually was surprised that his brother, I forgot, not Dion, but
Joshua.
Joshua. I actually surprised. I liked him a lot. He was really like, "I'm sick, but I have a mission to do,
Yeah, it's
and this
just
is
so
my mission."
weird that he hides himself for so long. There's no
Yeah,
reason for him to do that. It's
no
so
reason.
weird, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um, I don't know. And the action, I love the action. I wish there's a little bit more depth. There's not a little bit. I wish there's a lot more depth to the combat. That was
I
one
think it's
major.
still fun though, dude.
It
Like
no, it is.
ultimately, it's
It
not
is.
like bad. It's
No, it's
it's
not
not
bad.
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad by a long shot. I just wish I had a little bit more depth to it. I just wanted more moves. That's it. That's all I wanted. Um,
Yeah.
but that's coming from a character action like addict. That's what I'm addicted to. So
Hmm.
I can understand someone not being a character action person or just a regular action person, like, oh, this is fine. So that's me personally. But yeah, from layman's terms though, it was really good. I still think the story was really good. I didn't some of the turns and twists and turns of it were I just didn't like the ending of the story. I didn't like how it all boiled down to that one moment, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I guess a lot of people have played it, but DJ hasn't played it, so I know he listens to the
Yeah.
podcast. So,
Oh shit.
yeah,
Well, we already spoiled a bunch of shit.
yeah, but yeah,
Sorry,
DJ.
DJ.
But it is just one part. The ending. I didn't like the twist they did. I thought it was very Tales of Arise. That twist.
Hmm.
That's the best I can compare it to, and I hate that. Um, but I think the ride was just fucking insane.
Yeah.
That, like I said, the highs were like super fucking high, and the lows were low. But I still don't think the lows took away from the highs of the game.
Yeah.
Um, the
Yeah. And the
voice
last
acting was
thing.
great, was and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to shout out was the score, the music.
Oh yeah, yeah,
This
man.
game won soundtrack of the year at the Game Awards, and my god, did it deserve it. This was a fucking beautiful soundtrack. The dominant slash icon boss fight music is unbelievable. It's so fucking good. I think it's called hold on, I'll go find the name of it to call it out to people. But dude, it's just the music in this game was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's
man.
called "To Sail Forbidden Seas" is the name of
Okay.
the track. But um, but yeah, man.
Ah man, like I don't know how to describe this game to people. I think the gamers actually did this game a disservice, man. Maybe it was the Final Fantasy fans. Maybe it was me too. I don't know. But
I
like,
think
yeah, when I
Skill Up did a lot of damage, actually, dude.
you think so?
Okay, like I don't want to
'Cause
bag on him, right? Like he's
I did
entitled to
say
his opinion. He's entitled to
yeah,
his opinion, but his reach is very very wide at this point. And I think when he says a game is as bad as he claimed that Final Fantasy 16 is, I think it hurts the game. You know, I think it damages the game. I actually think that was true with The Last of Us Part 2 as well, because he did the same thing with that game. You know, where he basically said that the game is not like good, you know, ultimately. And I don't know. Like I don't agree with his opinion, obviously. Like neither of us really do, obviously, but um yeah, I don't know. But I don't want to put it all on him. There were definitely a lot of negative opinions. The game this game was received in a really mixed way.
yeah,
Um So, but I think there was just a lot of people clinging to some vision of what Final Fantasy is supposed to be in their mind, and I don't really understand that because like Final Fantasy has never stood still as a franchise, you know? It has never been static. Um and I don't know. Like that's I just how I feel about it. Like I think this game is as Final Fantasy as any other
yeah.
Final Fantasy game, you know?
I don't like the whole it should have been turn based takes. I just don't like
Like,
that.
why are you people still clinging to that? Dude, Final Fantasy, like, okay. Final Fantasy hasn't really, there's only really been 3 entries in the franchise that are actually turn based. And that is Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 10 and 9 actually, so 4, you know. Other than that, like a lot of the ones are ATB. As much as I've argued that, you know, that is de facto the same as turn based and in a lot of in a practical sense it usually is, it is still not totally turn based, you know. It's like I don't know what they're like what they want out of this series has long moved on from the idea of turn based. Like you haven't gotten a turn based Final Fantasy game in over 20 years at this point, you know. Why do you think they're suddenly going to go back to that now, you know?
Because of Persona 5.
I don't think it worked. Like, dude, the reason
That's
Persona is so
literally
popular has nothing to do with its combat.
I don't think
Nothing.
people I don't think people understand that.
Like
We
nothing.
we already explained what Persona, especially Persona 5, right? We already explained
Yeah,
the things they do to max the combat. Like
absolutely.
we see it, right? I don't think people understand that. It just comes down to a conversation of do you understand what you're actually playing? And I don't think
Yeah.
people understand that. I think people they say Persona 5 works as a turn based, Pokemon works as turn based, Dragon Quest works as turn based. Why can't Final Fantasy work as turn based? And I don't really have the answer to that, but even Pokemon's kind of moving away from turn based because we saw what fucking not Sword and Shield, but the other one, Arceus was kind of doing. It was kind of doing like a
Mm,
almost a ATB style battle system a little bit.
yeah.
Um, but like I don't, I don't think people understand that Final Fantasy hasn't. I think they see people standing still and they say turn based.
Yeah.
But for us, it's more technical. For like people who actually play the game, because you're right, Final Fantasy 13 wasn't turn based. It wasn't. It was a more advanced style of ATB, in my opinion. It was really action focused.
That one
To be
is
honest,
I'd almost argue, yeah, I'd almost argue it's action. Like
yeah.
yeah.
Um, Final Fantasy 12 is MMO style combat. Final Fantasy 11 is literally an MMO. Final Fantasy 10 is turn based. That is a true turn based game. But in their defense, look how many people hold that game up to a standard that I don't think any Final Fantasy can go to anymore. Even more than 7, I would argue. People hold that game, look at that game with like rose tinted glasses.
Mhm.
You ask somebody about Final Fantasy 10, they're gonna be like, "Oh man, greatest game ever, bro, greatest game ever."
Yeah.
And I think that's where that comes from. To me, Final Fantasy 10 is a good game, but I don't look at it like,
I've
man,
never
greatest
been able
game.
to get through it though.
Really? I
That's
played it.
dude. I've never been able to finish it. I always peter out in the field, the giant field before Xanarkand. Every time I play the game,
because of the random
the
battles.
random battles dude. I can't do it. I cannot do it. It's so antiquated. It's such a terrible, like, maybe the remaster does away with that. I'm not sure. Like the remasters they've done have kind of done away with that element to it. But yeah, the I don't know. Like, so I don't like in Final Fantasy 7, dude. I've said this on the podcast before, and I know if people if this ever like this shit, if we ever get an audience,
Oh yeah,
people are gonna blast my asshole for this. But I don't think Final Fantasy 7 is really a good game, like the original game. Like,
it's not. It's definitely not peak. I think 8 is better.
I personally prefer 10. I know this is blasphemy, but I really like 13 actually.
I was on the 13 hate train for a long time, and then I replayed it, and I played 13 and 13 too, and I was like, I was totally
the
wrong about
combat
this
is
game.
really fucking fun. Like, I think it's actually one of their best systems they made. But everybody complains about the corridors in that game, and then they are totally oblivious to the fact that 10 is just a game of corridors as well. But whatever, you know.
All of
So
them are except for 15. To be honest with
yeah,
you.
but the older ones have the world maps,
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
But
but
I this game is so weird to me because I can see the criticisms of 16. And even I'm checking my older tweets, and I thought I was really critical of him, but I'm actually like giving it solid critique, and I'm like, no, I can see the criticisms, but the game is really fucking good still. Like, like I can see it.
yeah.
It's just so weird to me how people will sit here and call this game terrible. And yes, I'm going there. I don't fucking care, Justin. I'm going there. What time you gotta get off?
No,
All
go
right,
ahead.
we got
Go
like 10
ahead.
more
I
minutes.
got time. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
And you sit here and you say Final Fantasy 16 is not a good game. And in the same breath, you tell me that 15 was good out the box. People will lie to you right now with revisionist history and say before the Royal Collection, 15 was good out the box. And then Royal Collection even made it even fucking better. And I can't do it, Justin. I can't do it.
Well, dude, that's the thing. I'm pretty sure this is why like I called out Skill Up, because I'm pretty sure he likes Final Fantasy 15.
He does. He played the Royal Collection.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. The combat is not good. The story is not good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay. Yeah, no, the story's not good. The only dynamic I love is the actual party. I actually do love the party. That is a really good dynamic they did in there.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it. That's it.
That's
Literally it.
it.
That's literally it. The rest of the game is shit. Like,
I don't get it. And people will tell me, well, you should have played, what was it called? The multiplayer mode. Mercenaries or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mercenaries is so fun. I'm like, and then like in the Royal Edition, you can actually switch off party members like on the fly, which is really cool. Actually, I do like that.
Yeah.
But to me, the damage is already done. I played the original, bro. Like I played the original, and it's like it's not a Cyberpunk situation because I tried to give this game the Cyberpunk situation where I go back and play the improved version. I just couldn't get over it, bro. I'm sorry. Like this story, the open
It's
world.
not just the ending, man. It's not just the ending that's bad about Final Fantasy 15. Like, if people think that's my problem with that game, then you have been listening to me. Like, basically everything is a problem with that game from the beginning of the game. Literally the first like 5 hours, they go back to their home city. Their home city gets attacked, and they go back, and what do? They off-screen what happens in a movie. Fuck you. Fuck that. The game's garbage.
I don't think we're ever going to get away from that game. I don't think
Noctis's dad dies off screen.
Man, Noctis dies at the I mean, Clive. I'm sorry. Okay, shut up. But like,
Yeah.
I just think Clive's adventure was so much better. I think and you can kill him for not having a party cast, for not having a party. But I think they were just so. I think
But you have people with you throughout the entire game. I don't get that criticism. It's like, yeah, sure, you don't have a party where there's 4 people and you like change all their armor out and stuff, but they're with you. Like there's people
that is
with
another
you.
criticism of the game. I didn't like the crafting shit. There
That's
should might
terrible.
that
The
might it might
RPG
as well.
mechanics are stupid. Like
Yeah,
they shouldn't even be in the game.
they should just went full action in the game.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to harp on this too longer, but yeah, I think it's a really good game, and it's a shame that it didn't sell well because I think Yoshi P, the next one, if he had a guy a chance, if he's going to get a chance, he can drastically improve on 16's foundation, like
Yeah.
insanely. So
Yeah, I
I don't
think the
think,
thing that's going to stand out with this game though is putting it up against Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out in the
yeah,
next couple months. Because I have a feeling that game is going to be a lot better than Final Fantasy 16. Like I just
it
feel
is,
that,
it is.
But that doesn't mean Final Fantasy 16 is a bad game. It is still a great game. But
Final
I
Fantasy
feel like
VII is action,
yeah, right.
but it
Nobody
is
has
an
a problem. Nobody has
RPG.
a problem with that. Nobody has a problem with that.
But
Nobody
it
has
is.
a problem with that.
I guess because damage numbers isn't. I don't. You know what? Let me shut up. All right, cool. Yeah.
All right, Marshall. So that's all the games we had listed. Did you want to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 real quick? Do you feel like you played it enough to speak on it?
No, I need to play some more. But
Okay, I
I
do
would
too.
I guess I
I
just
barely
mentioned
touched it.
like the first 15 hours I did play of it. Um Absolutely love it. I love everything you can do. I think for me, that's where my brain is getting hung up on because there is so many options to do stuff. I have to actually
Hmm.
like think. Not okay, that sounds stupid. I have to think within the terms of outside of like the boundaries that games normally give you. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
you can tackle things in so many different ways. That yeah,
exactly. The normally games don't really give you that many options to tackle. And now I can do crazy shit like stack crates up and there's more than one way to beat a boss. Like and you don't have to fight the boss. You can just push the boss over an edge or something like that.
yeah,
And that's how
yeah,
you do it, right?
yeah.
Um so yeah, I just have to actually get my brain around that. Like I can actually, if I think of a wacky way to kill somebody, I can do that. Like I can most likely probably do that shit within the confines of the game. So yeah, I just have to get past that. But yeah, I really love it. I really wish we can all play like do the story with each other. But I think we're just gonna eventually play it individually.
Well, I think the thing we need to do is, I think what I realized is I need to play this game by myself first, and then come play co-op with you guys with it. Because
Yeah,
I think I'm a little too obsessed with like hearing every piece of dialogue, and we're kind of all doing that. Whereas I think the game is more designed where you just kind of go run around and do whatever you want by yourself.
yeah,
Like you don't have to be with the party at all times. Um, you can go talk to a merchant or go talk to some quest giver or something and get a quest, or interact with someone, or go do character maintenance, while the party's off doing a quest. On like you can play the game a little bit more like that. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah. Okay, cool. Any games that we didn't get to that you remembered?
uh, nope. That's pretty much it for me for this year.
Okay, cool. Well, 2023. I mean, how do you feel about the year overall? I
I
mean, I
still
think
think
it
it
was
was
a
a
really
good
good
year.
year.
Yeah, I still think it
Yeah.
was a really good year. Yeah.
I mean, that's with how many games we didn't touch. Like, dude, neither of us even played Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't play Tears of
Yeah.
the Kingdom. I didn't play Bait and Katos. I didn't play um fucking Frontline Mission or Front Mission. Um
Yeah.
I didn't play
Persona 5 Tactica.
I didn't play
Um,
Persona 5 Tactica. I didn't play Advance Wars that came out this year as well. Um so there's a lot of games I missed and I really want to get to.
yeah, this is gonna be one of those years. It's gonna be one that people remember. It's gonna be one of the best of in gaming history. It's gonna be up there with like, I don't know, like 20. I think 2017 is kind of one of those years.
Yeah, 2017, 2018-ish.
2009, 2010 area. Um, there's just a lot of good shit. And then late 90s, 99, 98.
Yeah.
Really good years also. So yeah, I think it's going to be in that echelon for sure. For sure. Even 2015 actually was a really good year too, from what I remember. But yeah. And then we've already previewed 2024, so we got a lot to look forward to this year coming up, certainly. And I mean, dude, we got Prince of Persia coming on, I think 2 weeks from now, or so.
Yeah, I
So
think it's yep, 2 weeks.
it does not stop, my friend. Whatever, however behind you feel, don't worry. There's no time to breathe. You're gonna get even further behind. So get ready for that. But
I will say
all
my
right,
New
well,
Year's resolution is to play less multiplayer games and more single player games.
yes, I agree. I say that, and I'm gonna get on Discord and probably play World of Warcraft tonight. So, it is what it is, Montrell. We
All
are who
right.
we are. All right. Fair enough. All right, man, let's get the hell out of here then. So, everybody, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. That's going to be it for us, guys. We'll be back to the normal news filled show next week. So we hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week.